code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Monday, the American media loves the gotcha game, where a reporter embarrasses a public official with a line of questioning. That pursuit has been in place since then CBS White House correspondent Dan Rather tortured Richard Nixon in the late 1960s. Throughout my career, I've asked very tough questions to the powerful in both parties, but gotcha wasn't my goal. Simply put, I wanted to see how much the interview subject actually knew and how accurately they could articulate their position. Today, much of the press is on a mission to expose President Trump and his administrators as incompetent, even dangerous. In that pursuit, they are trying to weave a storyline that undocumented foreign nationals are being treated unfairly or even persecuted by the Trump administration. Well, in order to sell that narrative, you have to cite examples of cruel behavior. But in any massive deportation, tough things aren't going to occur. However, the press is openly seeking negative stuff to blunt actions about foreign criminals. That is literally unbelievable. That's how much they hate Trump. It is not difficult to find sob stories anywhere, but trying to undermine a policy that is beneficial is wrong. Back after this. Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Big weather changes coming later this week, but for now we are stuck on hot. The heat advisory continues, 97 for the high, a heat index of 106 this afternoon. Some isolated storms possible, very limited in coverage, but some lightning, some brief downpours, and some gusty winds if you get caught under one. Down to 76 tonight, 1 or 2 storms around. Still steamy Tuesday, 94, a heat index of 103, but scattered rain and storms tomorrow signal that the cooler air is starting to move in. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Like it or not, we are basically back in the election cycle because we are about 1 year away, really just under 1 year away from the next round of big primary elections in August of 2026. In St. Charles County, probably the biggest race that's going to happen is the race for county executive. And let's be honest, the Republican primary is going to decide that at 7:05. Councilman Mike Elam going to be with us. He is one of the 3 main candidates for that. So send in your questions now. Put them in the Rumble chat box. You can put them in the Facebook comments. You can also email me, mike@newstalkstl.com, if you've got a question for Mike Elam. And then, of course, we're going to be joined by our friend Bob Onder as well. Congressman Onder is going to be with us at 7:35. Again, he's back after being out of the country. Okay, when we look at the news that's happened over the last couple of weeks, man, some of it's been bizarre. Some of these are really big questions, but we had kind of an interesting review of all of it with former Missouri State Representative Tony Lovasco on Friday. And here's the assessment and some interesting information, especially on this tax commission thing on the Missouri side, that he was able to provide.
Tony, let me start with one of the things that you would normally think is just kind of wonky and in the weeds, but people really had a strong reaction to this. And this is the news that the Missouri State Tax Commission is basically threatening local elected assessors and local governments, saying you will raise property valuations. Here's the range they're going to be in, or else we're going to deny you state reimbursement funds. So basically, make sure people get bigger property tax bills, and then this gets reported on, and now you've got lawmakers who are saying we got to rein in the tax commission. So we've got appointed bureaucrats threatening mostly locally elected officials, and it's all over. You got to tax people more, and no wonder people are reacting to this.
Well, it's a little more complicated than that, unfortunately, and there's more bad guys than just the tax commission here. Mm-hmm. So the short version is the law does require that assessments be within a certain percentage of the true market value. And there's a provision in the Constitution in Missouri that requires that assessments be, equitable across regions, so that you don't have one area having grossly disproportionate assessments than another. Now, we all know that doesn't happen in real life, and that the various mechanisms by which elected assessors use to create these valuations can vary. There's software they subscribe to, et cetera, et cetera. They're supposed to do a physical inspection if your assessment goes up more than like 15%. A lot of counties just flat out don't do that. There's kind of a mess there. The issue with the tax commission here is that ostensibly they are requiring the assessors to comply with the law in regards to the assessment levels and provide a true and fair assessment. However, the flip side of that is theoretically the Hancock Amendment is supposed to kick in and protect you from a real increase in your taxes beyond a certain amount, even if your assessment goes through the roof. Whether that actually happens or not, that's a separate issue. Again, we've got multiple villains here. The reality is what needs to happen is not just that the tax commission needs to be smacked down, which I'd be perfectly fine with, by the way, regardless of what the law is. We don't need to be jacking up people's taxes all at once like that. But the reality is we need to change not only the regulatory structure, but quite frankly, the Missouri Constitution needs to be fixed as well. You and I both know that property taxes are awful. We'd like to eliminate them entirely. If we can't get to that point, at the very, very least, we need to fix this completely warped assessment process where the valuation of your property based on today's value, not what you actually paid for it, but the appreciated value, as you lived in it, is how you're taxed on. That's blatantly unfair. You're taxing unrealized gains, which we don't do in any other respect. The entire system is broken and needs to be looked at.
Okay, so what's the reform look like? I mean, to make it closer to, I'm not going to say good, but better than what we have right now, what's point B to get to from the point A that we have right now?
So there was a fantastic bill that I co-sponsored by Representative Darren Chappell out of the Springfield area that basically would say that the assessed value is whatever you purchased your house for, adjusted for inflation. And that's it. You don't try to guess what the current market value is. You just say, look, this is what you thought the value was because that's what you paid for it. And so that's the market deciding the actual true sales price of the item and not, some bureaucrats. And then we just take the standard inflation rate that everyone agrees to, at least theoretically, as a baseline, and you just adjust that, and that's just it. And then the reassessment effectively happens when the house is sold and you have another market price to look at and say, okay, this is now the true value after 10 years when it's resold. That fixes a lot of the unfairness, and it certainly fixes these drastic spikes that you see when you've got a massive run-up in house prices separate from the rest of the market.
Yeah, that sounds actually really, really smart way to do that. Gabe Phifer here, by the way, Tony. But Donald Trump kind of has declared war, I guess, in terms of districting. The battle for Congress has gone beyond elections, apparently, as the Missouri Republicans are now kind of pushing Governor Keogh to call for a special session to redraw congressional district lines because the Donald said so. So what do you think about this whole debacle?
I supported the whole concept of the 7-1 map back during normal redistricting. I did vote for that. I think we ought to send as many Republicans to Congress as possible here in Missouri. We are a red state. However, I do kind of question the strategy of doing it now. When you have that redistricting, according to the census, the Constitution requires it, that's kind of your opportunity to take your best shot to get the best situation and outcome that you can for your people. When you start deciding that between cycles, you're just going to try again, I think that not only starts an arms race with the blue states, who are obviously going to start doing that now too. We have Governor Newsom in California is threatening to do the same thing. Not only do you start that unwinnable arms race, but I think the reality is it's kind of hard to justify to the electorate why you're redrawing the maps in the middle of a cycle. I think it looks bad, and I don't think ultimately it helps us keep those seats in the long run. Yeah,
and that's the thing we're visiting with former state representative Tony Lovasco is that yes, I think the Republicans are responding to what the Democrats are doing. And one of the bizarre things about this is that both sides are being unusually honest and saying, yeah, we can. So we're going to gerrymander and we're going to pick the voters instead of voters picking us. And they're strangely honest about that. But here's the question I've been asking the Republicans in particular. We're talking about a 7-1 map, and if they call the special session, that's how they'll draw up the situation. That's 80 some odd % of the representation. Democrats routinely get 45 to 49% of the votes statewide in Missouri in all statewide races. How is that closer to an accurate representation, even when we are a deep red state? So I just think it's only fair to at least ask that question.
I think it's a fair question, but I also think it's mostly irrelevant. I mean, the reality is, in my household, the Democrats get 0% of the vote. Does that mean that I ought to have a representative just for my household? The whole concept of drawing districts is going to be arbitrary at a certain point. And realistically, it's not a philosophical or a moral game. I mean, it's a strategic one. It's whatever you can do with the rules of the system to get the best outcome. I think people are finally starting to admit that. And realistically, I think we just have to recognize that there are limits to gamesmanship. And if we dilute, the districts down to a point where every single district becomes super competitive in an attempt to get the most number of maximum seats, well, then you got to spend a lot more money in the races. There are a lot more bloodbath elections, and you have less longevity for your representatives. If that's what ultimately the people want, then I suppose they'll support politicians who support that plan. But I think ultimately the more status quo of a safe Republican red state that we're not fighting to the death in every single election is probably better in the long run.
Now, whether you're participating in politics or talking about it, maybe we immediately go to the topic of drugs. So
it drives you to it.
It drives you to it. But marijuana has become, a kind of a bit of a cause célèbre in many instances where states are moving towards legalizing recreational marijuana. And Donald Trump has indicated that on the federal level, he may be willing to reclassify marijuana from its current schedule. What do you make of that whole fight, and where would you kind of fall on this issue?
I think it's good progress. The fact that currently marijuana is Schedule 1 alongside heroin with no recognized medical benefit is lunacy. I mean, very clearly a lot of folks use this for a variety of ailments. There are plenty of studies out there as far as, whether it takes the edge off of pain or whatever. But the reality is it's not a harmful product. It perhaps can, result in some irresponsible behavior. I think ultimately, like anything else, overuse is problematic. Clearly, you can point to all kinds of issues there. However, it's not on the line of heroin or fentanyl or something where you're dying from overdoses. And the fact that it's scheduled at all, quite frankly, seems excessive. We don't schedule alcohol, and it kills more people than marijuana by orders of magnitude. And so realistically, I'm very pleased that they're looking to drop this down to Schedule 3, so at least we can have some medical research done. It can be prescribed. People that are in legal businesses in the states where it is allowed can actually have bank accounts and not just be transacting everything in cash, which is something a lot of people don't know about the marijuana industry, is that there's large amounts of cash sitting around locked up in these buildings that is a magnet for theft and everything else. So this does solve a lot of problems. I certainly support it, but I think it could go farther.
All right, we're visiting with Tony Lovasco. Last minute or so we've got Tony. We're now basically a year away from the primary elections. I mean, the hangover from the last election just dissipated, and now we're talking about the primaries in just about 12 months from right now. This is going to be interesting in the Republican primary in St. Charles County for county executive, and in St. Louis County, the Democratic primary for county executive. We could really have some interesting, pretty spicy races on our hands locally here.
No, absolutely. I think the fact that Sam Page is getting a primary challenger, I think is fantastic. Brian Williams was great in the Senate. As Democrats go, he was a very reasonable, level-headed guy, not a lunatic. Those are not necessarily things that you could say about Sam Page. So I think that regardless of whether or not I would support Williams' policies, which I generally did not, I think it would be a massive improvement on that end. And I think the Republicans are nominating a good guy too. I think, he's going to be a somewhat competitive race. It'll be an uphill battle. But I think regardless, the people of St. Charles County are likely going to end up with an improvement after the cycle. And I think that's great.
Yeah, and in St. Charles County, by the way, Mike Elam's going to be on the program on Monday talking about his campaign as well. St. Charles County, there's a lot of big development type issues that the candidates, because let's be honest, the Republican primary is going to decide the next county executive in St. Charles County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the things that is always makes it difficult in local elections is that most of the real world things that these people deal with when in office are just not that interesting to the voters. Dealing with the master plan and planning and zoning and the nuances of the health department's regulations and things, it doesn't lead well to door knocking efforts or big campaigns. But this cycle, we've got major issues. We've got things that huge data center that's looking like it's going to be installed. It's very controversial. We have the federal government finally recognizing that the wastewater issues in St. Charles County are potentially hurting people with radioactive waste and all that. We've got tax issues. You mentioned assessments and whatnot. That's always a perennial issue when it comes to local elections. So not only is there going to be a lot of things for the candidates to talk about, but we have a lot of heavy hitters entering this race and a lot of money. So I think it's going to be very interesting to watch.
All right, 314-912-1019. If you want a question asked of Councilman Mike Elam running for St. Charles County Executive, email me, mike@newstalkstl.com. And of course, you can just put your question in the social media comments as well. We got a lot of ground to cover today here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The news and talk
our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE.
That matters to St. Louis.
More files in the Russia collusion hoax are expected to be released.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
McGuire Moving is silver certified, which means they are great at relocating senior citizens. In fact, McGuire is a household name because McGuire understands the stress involved when moving older adults. So if you or family members need help moving, I highly recommend McGuire Moving. 314-241-0600. 241-0600. Get a free in-home estimate. McGuireMoving.com.
Is your backyard a battleground every evening? Swatting, itching, kids running back inside? Hey, Tim Jones here. I just found out about a new local company, Mosquito Nix, that can take care of all that and more. They offer permanent automatic mosquito and tick protection, not just fogging, real coverage you don't have to think about. They've helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Now they're offering a free fogging treatment to introduce themselves to St. Louis families. Call 636-698-1980 now or visit mosquitonix.com. Say goodbye to bug bites this summer. Service area restrictions do apply. Tell them Tim Jones sent you. Ask about their back-to-school special. St. Louis summers don't last forever, but mosquito bites shouldn't either. Call 636-698-1980. Visit mosquitonix.com. That's mosquitonix.com. This is a limited time offer.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, fun fact here. Ghislaine Maxwell got moved to a friendlier prison shortly after meeting the DOJ officials. And I am embarrassed to say I did not know that until this weekend.
It's not a very fun fact at all, Mike.
No, I know, exactly. So I'm thinking, how in the world did I miss something like this when I've been covering this? And it's a lot of it's just my fault because I missed it. But I learned a lesson. Don't just rely on conservative media.
Yes.
You have to include some leftist media because conservative media, for the most part, is barely covering this, barely covering it.
So I've definitely learned the hard way. The same exact lesson is, on the one hand, there are a lot of times where what they cover, if it regards the right wing, is not entirely accurate. But on the other hand, sometimes we also don't do that. Not us, the show, Mike Ferguson,
right? But overall,
But overall, our side of the aisle does not always cover things accurately and fairly that we should know if it does not necessarily make people look the best.
I know, but here's the thing: is like I try to. I mean, I come in with a conservatarian, free market, unapologetic perspective on this. And if I'm calling balls and strikes on both sides, I get hammered from our side. It's like, no, you're supposed to advance the propaganda, Mike. Don't call balls and strikes. Don't hold our side accountable. No, that's what I'm gonna do until you guys run me off, which I don't know could happen. I don't know.
I mean, to your credit,
I can drive DoorDash.
I was gonna say to your credit, I've seen our show, your show, be accused of TDS from both sides, which means you must be doing something right.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I won't always get it right, but all right. So I'm going to get into that in just a minute. I want to tell the story about how I found out about all of this, because I've just been going to my steady diet of the news sources that I go through, and I would say they failed me, but I failed because I just relied on them. So we'll get into that. All right, 5:49 right now. Quick update here, and I'll have some more basic details in the news dump in just a minute. That water boil advisory is over. And when we were leaving the show on Friday, that had been issued for the entire city of St. Charles. And then by later on in the morning, they had expanded it to the entire city of St. Peter's. So this actually got to be a big deal. Now, it turns out the water was safe, which is kind of what we thought was going to happen, but it was a precaution because that water main got hit by whatever contractor was working somewhere that dropped the pressure in some key areas and whatever. And I used to be on, believe it or not, a board of directors of a water district. I actually used to be on a utility board. So I've got a little bit of an understanding of this. What happens when that pressure drops down and then the pressure comes back up? At the bottom of your pipes, after all these years, the sediment and all this sorts of nasty stuff is in the bottom of the water. I mean, sleep tight, but it's there. And then before it gets to your faucet, it goes through a series of filters, but it's there. And so when it gets stirred up like crazy, then they've got to be careful to make sure that it doesn't get to the end user, to the consumer. My guess is most of the time the water is safe, but they put the boil advisories out just in case something they find in the testing that something nasty gets through. So here's the question I've got. When you hear that boil advisory stuff, how seriously do you actually take it? My guess is a lot of people go, it's probably fine. Kids, go brush your teeth, is what I guess happens. Now, it turns out that would have been just fine if you were using water through the boil advisory. Turns out the water was safe. It was not a big deal. It was precautionary. I will go to the bottled water just to be careful, probably because I have seen the video when we've hired the divers to go into our water tanks and go around, because there's a certain amount of the gunk that is considered safe and allowed by standards. And I've seen the video of what's in your water tanks, in the public water tanks. I'm like, oh God, dang, that's awful.
Well, you need a little bit of that for that nice flavor,
That's
right?
right. We got to keep the immune system active, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's okay. So we used to have boil advisories, but it was because we had an E. coli outbreak in our water.
Right.
So
right,
you can't,
right.
if there's ever something like that, please do not risk it, because E. coli is a very nasty, ucky.
Oh, it's terrible.
But it sounds like this would also be a good opportunity to say, hey, maybe it's time to invest in a good water filter system, because you can boil out a lot of the bacteria. But when it comes to the actual physical debris that might be in there, that's not going to be boiled away.
And the funny part is that, like, for instance, we here, and you can go to our website, I'm sure, and find Jones Air and Water, which is that's the filter we use here at the station.
Oh,
and now, like, that little thing that's on the side of that's from Jones Air and Water.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah. And now I'm used to that. And so I don't drink water right out of the faucet now. Even at home, I have a water filter that goes through, because I guess I'm just spoiled in water bougie or something like that. But when I get those, I will actually take that very seriously. Now, I don't live in St. Peter's or St. Charles, so it didn't affect me. But I would actually go, it's probably fine. But you know what? Just in case, I'll grab a jug of water at the store, whatever the case is, or because even the filters aren't going to catch everything if you use a Brita or one of those in your house. So all's well that ends well. And I know it's a pain in the butt, but it's probably a necessary pain in the butt, even if it turns out boiling the water didn't actually change anything. Better safe than sorry when we're talking about the actual water that goes into your body.
Yeah. I mean, there is a certain level in which you have an immune system, and, if your immune system's good, you should be fine. But at the same time, why risk it if you don't have
risk
to,
it. Yeah, exactly. All right. So let me tell you how I found out about the Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred to a minimum security prison, much friendlier prison, which I should have known this. This is my failure to know this.
So real quick, because I know you don't do politics on the weekend.
Right.
When I first discovered it, it was like a Saturday. So to your credit,
it was Saturday that I found out.
Oh,
and because on one of my baseball teams, we have got a variety of liberals and conservatives, leftists and conservatives. And the leftists were like, what do you think about that? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. And then he tells me, and then because they said, and she's been granted work release. How does that happen? They should be releasing the files. And of course I pop up and go, hey, T, I totally agree. They should be releasing the files. I know you don't listen to my show because he's on the left.
Mhm.
I said, but I have been saying that and getting myself in trouble for it with a lot of conservatives by saying they need to release the files. And so I'm doing a search in the dugout right after the game, like, oh, well, there it is. Ghislaine Maxwell transferred to a prison down in Texas that is minimum security. They literally have a like puppy training program that the inmates could do. Now, she's not qualified for that because
Good.
she's got crimes against children. If you have crimes against animals or against children, you're not allowed to play with the puppies. So she doesn't get to play with the puppies. But then I looked up because what happened is there's a blog called Raw Story that claimed to have get all of the security documentation and that she's been granted work release. That's not true.
No.
But I had to go to the frickin' Daily Beast, a left-wing site, to get confirmation because they contacted her lawyer and her lawyer's like, no, she doesn't have work release. Now, is she eligible? Technically speaking, probably, but she hasn't been granted it. And there's no indication that she's applied for it. She's not going to get it if she did. So in the conservative media's absence of covering this, the leftist media is the one that you go to for the story, which really pisses me off.
Yes.
Because conservative media, for the most part, and to be fair, I did a search on several of the big conservative sites this morning. I did see in one of those like bullet points articles on Town Hall that they did have a mention of it a couple, 3-4 days ago or something like that, that I guess I just missed, or it was not in a featured story, but to be fair, they had it. The other big ones did not, because again, we've talked about conservative media has been told, and this is widely acknowledged by the White House, knock it off with the Epstein coverage. This is bad for us. Knock it off. And they've obeyed, which is the antithesis of what conservative media should be doing.
And that is crucial to a lot of the reason why our side, actual principled conservatives are getting frustrated with news sources, because it's not supposed to be only cover the things that we're going to be like, yeah, that's
right.
Amazing. It's supposed to be the sometimes uncomfortable things of like, hey, here's what we need to do better on as well. And I agree entirely. I saw the exact, I think it was called the Raw Story.
Yeah, that's the one that broke the fake news.
Yeah, because there are some independent news people out there that are not entirely credible, and then there are some that do fantastic jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a mixture of both. It was you got it right when it came to she got moved to prisons, but it's not like with Jeffrey Epstein where he was able to leave prison and then come back and I know that had to do with a lot of the plea and all that kind of thing and like the whatever. But we also need to be careful about the fact that we can get memory hold very quickly on things that matter, and don't only consort sources that you agree with. Sometimes you have to be exposed to the ones and say, look, they got this right sometimes.
You know how icky it is for me to go, well, I cited the Daily Beast.
I know how much
because our side didn't have the right facts. And so I look in and I have to confirm this. And man, I try not to talk politics, over the weekends, when, especially in baseball, I try not to do that at all. But I'm the guy they look to say, is that true or not, Mike? And I have to go, I got to look it up, guys. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, that's my fault for not knowing what I do for a living, but I do this for a living and I didn't do it. So secondly, it means, I got to start expanding my mainstream and left wing just to make sure that I'm getting everything. And then I can try to confirm it with the conservative news, but our side just dropped the ball on this, and they dropped the ball probably intentionally.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Patriot Heating and Cooling. When your home's comfort is on the line, you need a team you can trust. That's why I recommend Patriot Heating and Cooling, St. Louis's trusted team of HVAC experts. These pros make customer service their number one priority, whether it's a summer breakdown or a winter emergency. Booking your service couldn't be easier. Just visit callpatriothvacstl.com or call 314-527-2722. Patriot Heating and Cooling. Comfort every day, the Patriot way.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fence Works, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fence Works, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit STLFenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. On the heels of Friday's meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin in Alaska, today President Trump sits down with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and others at the White House.
European and NATO leaders say they are joining Volodymyr Zelensky in talks between the Ukrainian president and President Donald Trump. On Sunday in Brussels, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said there are conditions for any peace deal.
We must have strong security guarantees to protect both Ukraine and Europe's vital security interests. Ukraine must be able to uphold its sovereignty and its territorial integrity.
Von der Leyen says international borders cannot be changed by force. European leaders have been rallying around Zelensky after he was left out of Friday's Alaska summit between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. I'm Donna Warder.
And Secretary of State Rubio says that while he cannot reveal exactly what's been going on behind the scenes, both sides, that is Russia and Ukraine, he says they're struggling with some hard decisions.
Even totalitarian governments have constituencies they have to respond to. People have to go back and defend these agreements that they make, and so and figure out a way to explain them to people. So we need to create space for concessions to be made.
Rubio on ABC's This Week program. A suspect is under arrest after 3 police officers were shot and wounded. Happened last night north of Salt Lake City in Fremont in Utah. Hurricane Erin has strengthened again. It's now back up to a Category 4 storm, packing 130-mile-per-hour winds. It's been lashing Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands with its outer bands. It could stir up dangerous surf along the U.S. East Coast later in the week. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 58 points. NASDAQ futures are off 19. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Everybody is keeping an eye on the Fed and how an interest rate cut might affect gold prices. Gold has been hovering at around $3,400 an ounce for the last 2 months and is poised for dramatic growth with the next interest rate cut. When rates go down, returns on bonds follow, and that's why gold continues to be the safe haven asset of choice for smart investors. Are you protected? Don't wait until it's too late to profit from the back and forth from the Fed on interest rates. Right now, if you have a qualified IRA or 401k, you could receive up to $10,000 in free gold and silver when you open your retirement account with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now or visit AdvantageGold.com and get your free gold IRA guide and find out how much bonus gold you qualify for. Call 800-900-8000 to qualify for your free $10,000 precious metals bonus when you open your qualified gold IRA with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Big weather changes coming later this week, but for now we are stuck on hot. The heat advisory continues, 97 for the high, a heat index of 106 this afternoon. Some isolated storms possible, very limited in coverage, but some lightning, some brief downpours, and some gusty winds if you get caught under one. Down to 76 tonight, 1 or 2 storms around. Still steamy Tuesday, 94, a heat index of 103, but scattered rain and storms tomorrow signal that the cooler air is starting to move in. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Gabe Phifer.
It take a computerized Vulcan mind such as yours to make that kind of a statement.
Get up, St. Louis.
This job could be done by a monkey with a bottle of Motrin.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, the emergency management, using air quotes here, leader who failed St. Louis gets to defend herself today. Wait a minute, I need to amend that. The emergency management leader who failed St. Louis gets to defend they themselves today.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay. Also, another Republican steps into the political ring and hopes to challenge J.B. Pritzker. The Cardinals forgot how to baseball there for a minute on Sunday. All right, 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, the boil water advisory is over. That was issued for both St. Charles and St. Peter's after a water main was damaged late last week. The advisory was issued as a precaution while the water could be tested for safety. Turns out those results show the water was safe, so the boil advisory ended yesterday. All clear, back to normal in St. Charles and St. Peter's. Don't worry about your water. You're all good. All right, St. Louis City's Emergency Management Director, Sarah Russell. By the way, we'll talk about this in more depth right around 6:20, guys. She remains on paid leave, but she faces a disciplinary hearing today. You may be surprised to know it's taken over 3 months.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, that is related to the failure of her department to sound the warning sirens May 16th when the tornado hit the city. Following today's hearing, the director of public safety is going to have 14 days to make a decision on what will happen, if anything. Published reports say Russell's salary, which she is still getting paid, by the way, because she's just on administrative leave, her salary is $100,000 a year.
Oh, of course it is.
$100,000 a year. So she's had a 3-month paid vacation at a rate of $100,000 a year.
Ugh.
We're going to get into more details on that right around 6:20 here. Okay. One of Illinois' top conservative names is planning to run for governor. And he's been on this show a number of times. Wirepoints president Ted Dabrowski says the state needs to obviously reverse course.
For 15 years, I've been working on reporting on Illinois, on its problems, suggesting a lot of solutions. And what I've seen is the state continue to go downhill, sadly. We should be a top 5 state in this country. We should be a top 5 state for growth, for wages, for population, for business. And we're a bottom 5 state. We're a bottom 5 state in virtually everything. So this is a big chance to turn things around. And so, things have gotten worse under Governor Pritzker. Highest property taxes, second highest gas taxes. Our population is shrinking. So we have to turn the state around. I'm a huge believer that this is we can make this a top 5 state, but we have to unify as Republicans. We have to get our ducks in a row and then push the policies that make us compete with Texas, makes us compete with Florida.
Okay, that audio is from Capital News, Illinois. Dabrowski will be on the show with us at 6:35 today, talking about his forthcoming campaign.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, California Democrats, as you know, they have unveiled their new redistricting plan for congressional maps aimed at flipping 5 Republican-held seats and giving those to the Democrats. That, of course, is responding to the GOP redistricting efforts in Texas, which is responding to the gerrymandering in leftist states like, California and Illinois. California Congressman Darrell Issa was on Fox News Live explaining whether he thinks voters are going to go for this plan.
Even if you want a Democrat representing you, do you really want to have a one-party state and a one-party country that, tells you what to do? And of course, the answer to the vast majority of the voters is no. So I think they're going to reject this.
Okay, first and foremost, I don't know if they're going to reject it or not, but yes, both red and blue states want one-party state.
Well, yes,
that's what they want.
That's kind of how it's set up. Yeah.
California Governor Gavin Newsom, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, announcing on Friday that the Golden State is going to move forward with a plan for a special election in early November to put that redistricting plan on the ballot, because in California, putting stuff on the ballot is just kind of a cultural way of life.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, we'll look at, 3, 4, 5 things on our ballot and we're going, man, that's a lot we have to read up on. They will have 30 on a ballot in a regular election cycle.
Because democracy.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, good God.
See how that's working out so well for them.
Yeah. Okay, 3 Republican-led states are deploying hundreds of members of their National Guard to Washington, D.C. Here's the story.
Governors in West Virginia, Ohio, and South Carolina announced they're sending troops from their states to assist the Trump administration's takeover of the District of Columbia's police department. As many as 750 additional National Guard members will join their counterparts in Washington. Last week, President Trump activated the D.C. National Guard to aid local law enforcement in what the White House calls an effort to crack down on crime and homelessness in the nation's capital. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And there have been, a number of lawsuits. Like, for instance, one of the courts have said, okay, the Washington, D.C. Police Department remains a police department. They're not completely under the federal government's control. However, they're now working with them. But the reality is that the feds are basically running the city now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing actually some of the interesting results on that. I saw a video of a homeless encampment being removed. So that's going to be a big boon to that community. And I imagine it's National Guard guys running those big machines.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's the type of stuff that they're being brought in to do.
Yeah. What was interesting is we saw some of the protest and the DOJ employee who's been fired, and he's been arrested after he threw the sandwich.
Oh, Mr. Sandwich Man.
What's funny is over the
sandwich
weekend,
bandit.
I'm telling you, this sort of stuff, we just see the world differently than those who disagree with us.
Oh, yeah, like completely.
Some of my leftist friends were just rolling their eyes. Like, it was a sandwich. What's the big deal? So an assault on a law enforcement officer, if it doesn't hurt them,
right?
Like, it's just not a big deal. Who cares? It's just a sandwich, and they're trying to ruin the guy's life, And so we just see the world differently than others. And so, those of you on the left, I'm really glad you're listening. I want you to be less bashful about being involved in the conversation. I don't think anybody's going to change their mind, but at some point, if we can at least understand the different worlds we're looking at, then we may make a little bit of progress. And the bottom line is if we're seeking truth, then you're going to see it our way.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's kind of how it's going to work. But I mean, really, though, the thing is that you have to remember that because we're all, there's there should be a preconceived expectation that you are a relatively decent human being and that you're coming at the world from a good place, or that at the very least you believe that you're coming at the world from a good place, and that should spark something called curiosity in humans. There's like, why do you see that as a good position? That's the questions that we're basically asking, and we want you to answer.
What is curiosity? I want to know.
Okay, sorry. I see what you did there.
Because we do occasionally get some comments from some of our friends in the left and some Dems saying, well, we're not all like that. That's not what the people that are speaking up on your behalf are acting like that, and they're the ones saying, so if we're wrong or we're not getting the full story, just comment, call us, do something, because we are open to that sort of dialogue.
And you're wondering why you got your butt kicked in November?
It's because of that.
It's because of exactly what Jerome said, because the crazies are running your party. And listen, if you're a partisan Republican, you want the crazies running the Democratic Party.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because that's basically by default, the Republicans just have to not be crazy.
Right. It's like, hey, what are you going to do? Well, not that.
Not that. Right. Exactly.
And then people are like, okay.
Okay. Close enough. All right. The Russia-Ukraine ceasefire agreement not reached during that summit in Alaska over the weekend. Of course, President Trump was there. Russian President Vladimir Putin was there, as you know. President Trump says the meeting was productive. Senator Eric Schmidt was on Fox News Sunday reacting to it all.
President Trump is engaging Russia. He's bringing the two parties together to get to peace. That has always been his North Star. And I have full confidence that President Trump is going to do everything he can to facilitate that.
At some point, I think Russia is going to run out of money and bullets.
Yes.
At this point. And, it's I don't like all of the overtures that have been made from the White House on this, but it looks like they're starting to settle into a better spot. The bottom line is the best outcome for the entire freaking world, other than Russia, is for Russia to get back on your side of the border. That is the best thing for all of us. And I think that's what's in the United States' best interest as well.
Yeah, I'm just not sure it's going to happen.
I mean, just from
a realistic standpoint.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I will note is a couple of comments from Trump after the discussions. He said, one interesting thing he said was, my intention wasn't to craft a deal, but to set the table for the deal to be crafted between Ukraine and Russia, which is, I thought that's an interesting position.
Yeah.
Obviously
it's not where he started, but that was
we're a third party. I mean, obviously the U.S. is a third party.
He started off by saying, I'm going to tell them how it's going to be.
That's
That's not how it works.
During the campaign, it was very much I'm just going to come in with a deal everybody's going to sign because I told him to.
Yeah.
But he's come back to a more realistic position on that. And then the other thing he said was, instead of going for a ceasefire, he wants to go straight to a peace agreement. So basically, it's just the end, as opposed to we're going to pause, which I think that's a defensible position as well.
Yeah. By the way, Zelensky is going to be meeting with the president at the White House today.
Yes.
Okay. Cardinals took a tie with the Yankees into the 9th inning on Sunday, and then,
they forgot how to baseball.
Yeah. The Redbirds gave up 4 runs in the last inning to lose the game 8-4. Me and my bunch of my teammates were watching that.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Man, the Yankees end up with the series sweep, which pushes the Redbirds down to 18 games behind the division leading Brewers. I'm starting to think we're not going to win the division, guys.
Yeah. This is why we drink.
Yeah, that's right. I am not going to confirm or deny what we were doing at the time that the game was on. Cardinals are on the road today, starting a series with the Marlins. First pitch on that one is at 5:40.
Stop it right now before you blow us all away. Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
NewsTalkSTL, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young America's Foundation welcome Steve Forbes to Lindenwood University for an inspiring evening on how free enterprise and entrepreneurship make America great. Discover how free markets and small business drive innovation, prosperity, and opportunity. Thursday, September 18th at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center for the Arts. And this in-person event is free. Reserve your tickets now at HamlinInstitute.org. Brought to you by Mid-Rivers and West News Magazines.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Is your pup in need of a spa day? At Pretty Little Paws, we believe grooming should be a stress-free, tail-wagging experience. Our one-on-one, fear-free grooming ensures your furry friend gets the gentle, personalized care they deserve. No noisy kennels or long waits, just love, patience, and expert grooming in a calm, relaxing environment. Because a happy pup means a happy you. Pretty Little Paws, with 2 locations in O'Fallon and St. Peter's. Visit us online at prettylittlepawsgrooming.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Jamie Ullman. Join me at high noon for the 3 martini lunch and plenty of common sense. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. She's been on a 3-month paid vacation, basically.
Yeah.
And today, Sarah Russell gets to defend herself after her massive failure.
Now, if they fire her, does she have to pay it back?
She does not.
Yeah, I figured not. I just thought I'd ask.
So the reason that I'm bringing this up, by the way, it's 6:19 right now. Technically speaking, Sarah Russell is still the St. Louis Emergency Management Director.
Right.
Because after the tornado sirens failed to be activated, and I say the sirens didn't fail, the sirens worked. Somebody just didn't push the button because they were down the street at a work lunch conference, workshop thing. And lots of rumors as to what that workshop was all about, but nobody, from what I can tell, has actually officially confirmed it. So I think it's a little irresponsible for me to say, because they were doing this at that workshop.
Right. Yeah.
We were pretty sure we know what it was. And we
Yeah.
didn't like it, but until I have like the official confirmation from somebody, I'm just going to focus on what happened that we know.
Right.
Okay. So Channel 4 did a deep dive into this, and you can find this on their website here. Russell is going to remain on paid leave for another 30 days. So
So she's getting more.
Right. Because
Okay.
what's happening is today there's that disciplinary hearing. And for those of you who, if you happen to be new to the station or to the area, when that May 16th tornado hit the city, the sirens, the warning sirens were not activated in the city. There was no siren warning. Now, if you got your cell phone, you had warnings all over the place from the private sector,
Right.
that got that word out from the National Weather Service or whatever it is they're subscribing to. But the entire emergency management, the city emergency management agency, they were not in their office. They were down the street at another office building doing a workshop of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave it at that. I'm sure the comments on social media are going to say, but it was this.
They're going to fill in the gaps.
That's probably what it was, but we haven't gotten a confirmation. They've been very careful not to put that out officially.
Which feeds the
tells you,
suspicion.
which feeds it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the tornado is hitting. People died.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be years before we can clean this up. And people in particularly North City, one of the most impoverished areas of the city, if there are going to be people who don't have cell phones, that's where it's going to be. No sirens were sounded. None. Because they weren't there to push the button.
That's pretty much it.
They had
didn't
to push the button.
They didn't even leave one person to do it.
Nobody was there. And so the emergency management director, Sarah Russell, and I say this because there is a context to this. I'm not just saying it because I'm the conservative and I want to go bash the lefties. When her official, page on the city's website was there, it's they, them,
Mm-hmm.
she's into the whole LGBT thing, and her accomplishments in emergency management have been doing presentations at regional and national things based on diversity and inclusion. And that was apparently her thing.
Right.
Instead of actually warning people, listen, the emergency management agency has a vital role, maybe once or twice a year, but they have to be prepared year around. And in the very moment that we needed them, they weren't there.
Very much you had one job
You
situation.
had one job that maybe you have to pull the trigger on once or twice a year, and you couldn't pull that off. And so she's been on extended leave now. And she's now going to social media, starting to defend herself because she gets to defend herself today.
Yeah.
By the way, David Amilati over at Channel 4 got the records. And Sarah Russell is being paid every 2 weeks, $2,990 while on leave. Public records show Russell made $100,000 last year. She's worked at the city since 2010. So 2010, you're going to go back prior to the Tashara Jones administration.
Oh, yeah.
But she was the emergency management director under Tashara Jones. So I don't know that she was the director since 2010, but she's worked for the city since 2010, and she's making $100,000 a year, at least according to last year. So $3,000 every 2 weeks of taxpayer money because she's on extended leave. Going to happen for at least another 3 months or 30 days rather. And so she goes on social media, and she's quoted in this story here as saying, Unfortunately, based on my experience throughout these past 84 days, I expect the process to be, she goes, in a social media post, let me start earlier. She says that the process has been constructive, progressive in nature, and effective in correcting employee issues. But she says, unfortunately, based on my experience throughout these past 84 days, I expect the process to be none of these things. My experience tells me it doesn't matter what I say. It hasn't mattered since the tornado hit, and it didn't matter before that. It hasn't mattered what I said in meetings. It hasn't mattered what I said in budget meetings or any other place I have spoken with this leadership, meaning Cara Spencer. Okay.
Interesting.
Cara Spencer basically says nothing is decided in stone. They're going to have the hearing on this. So essentially you've got Sarah Russell, complaining that, well, they're not listening to me and they haven't been listening to me. You weren't in the building and you didn't bother to assign anybody to say, sorry, you don't get to go to the workshop. We need this, or to call the fire department and say, hey, can somebody be there because the weather forecast is bad? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. It doesn't matter what you said in budget hearing. She goes, well, it doesn't matter what I said. You're damn right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's completely unrelated.
Yeah. You failed.
Mm-hmm.
And so to go on social media and try to plead the case, for this, saying, well, they haven't been listening to me under this administration. You can try to throw Cara Spencer under the bus all you want.
Seriously.
So far, Cara Spencer's been doing nothing but trying to clean up Tashara Jones's mess.
Also, what exactly was she supposed to have done between how many months was she in office at the time?
She was elected in April.
Yeah. So wait, so what was
weeks?
What was that administration supposedly not here? How many meetings had you had?
Yeah.
Because that sounds like a waste of time too. It's crazy.
Now, if I remember correctly, St. Louis Shrek accused Sarah.
Yeah, really.
I am so. I've seen other people online.
Yep.
I'm so glad they caught on, but she is a leftover. Them is a leftover of the Tashara Jones administration.
Yes.
So, in theory, I mean, this was not a case of a new hire that just didn't have the proper time to get the full training. This is somebody that should have known better. That for some reason just didn't.
Right. And you knew what the weather forecast was. We had advisories, and then we had the war. I mean, this is just a massive failure.
Yeah.
Now, in theory, in concept, I think people should be able to give their side of the story and defend it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's taken 3 months to do an investigation and have a hearing.
Right.
And
That's the other part of it too, is that the lack of speed on this, lack of urgency to deal with this is disturbing to me.
Right.
Now I will put that on the Cara Spencer administration, in that it is definitely her responsibility now to deal with this employee of the city, right? So I think this should have been adjudicated a long time ago. They should have, and let's be real, she should have gotten the boot, and there should be a replacement in place now.
Well, they do have somebody, they are basically assigning it to the fire department is now running this.
Right.
So that's,
so I guess technically the fire chief is
which they
over
have somebody,
the emergency
which they've
management.
assigned somebody as an interim basis on this.
Right.
And so the hearing is today. Then the public safety director has 2 weeks, has 14 days to decide what to do. So they could fire her, they could discipline her, or they could do nothing and clear her. Or they could clear her and say, but these changes have to be made.
Right.
In a left-wing city like St. Louis, I honestly don't know. But here's the thing. She has not become a cause celeb for the LGBT community.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly influential in the city. I mean, Cara Spencer celebrating, apparently it was not just Pride weekend, it was Black Pride weekend, and she did a post on with capital B and everything.
Well, geez.
And so, it's not like she's not an ally to them. They are, but they have not rallied around Sarah Russell because, well, she's gay. She's one of our own.
Right.
I don't care that you're gay or not. I care that you are so incompetent that you thought a workshop was more important than standing next to the warning system. I mean, and should we be modern enough to where you have an app that you could do it remotely, a secured app?
You would think, right?
You should be able to do that. But for whatever reason, under your leadership, that didn't happen. And nobody was there to push the button to warn the city that a tornado was about to hit or was in the process of hitting. So the LGBT community is basically wisely saying, we're not sticking up for you. We're not defending one of our own because you were incompetent. or for whatever reason, even if they want to do the representation matters nonsense, they're not picking this one. And good for them for standing down and saying we'll fight other battles.
Absolutely. Now, I'm particularly interested in what J.B. Pritchard's doing across the river, because he wants another term.
Yes, he
to
does.
ruin Illinois, and he has eyes on the White House as well. Obviously, he's waddling for that. So in order to ruin America just as much as he's ruined Illinois. But at 6:35, we'll hear from the latest Republican to step up. Ted Dabrowski says he's running for governor, and we'll get his plan for the state in about 2 minutes.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Big weather changes coming later this week, but for now we are stuck on hot. The heat advisory continues, 97 for the high, a heat index of 106 this afternoon. Some isolated storms possible, very limited in coverage, but some lightning, some brief downpours, and some gusty winds if you get caught under one. Down to 76 tonight, 1 or 2 storms around. Still steamy Tuesday, 94, a heat index of 103, but scattered rain and storms tomorrow signal that the cooler air is starting to move in. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peter's did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talon at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, before J.B. Pritzker can get to the White House, he needs to be a reelected governor of the state that he's running into the ground.
Right.
I mean, we laugh, but I mean,
that's true.
We laugh because it hurts. 6:33 right now. There are some Republicans who want to get in his way. I would argue the highest profile one so far joining us right now, Ted Dabrowski. He's been on the show before because he's the president of Wirepoints, which is, one of the top, if not the top conservative media outlet covering the state of Illinois. And Ted, appreciate you being on the program. I saw your soundbite with Capital News Illinois, and you're announcing a campaign for governor here. I don't know when the formal announcement's going to be, but you're basically saying, hat off my head, into the ring, running to challenge J.B. Pritzker on this. So one of the questions is going to be, well, why not continue to have an impact with Wirepoints only? Why go ahead and jump in the ring? Because, there's those of us in the media who think that we're so powerful because we do media, but you're saying, no, I'm going to actually get in at the ground level on this. What motivated you to say, I'm going to do this? I want to challenge. I want to take on J.B. Pritzker one-on-one.
Well, hey, thanks for having me on, Mike. Yeah, I dream of in Illinois. When my parents came here, they were both immigrants to Illinois, and my mother left from Ecuador when she was 19, and she came to Chicago. My dad escaped communist Poland when he was 22. He came to Chicago, and they came to a city where you could grit it out. You could make the American dream happen. It was affordable. It was possible. And fast forward 60 years later, people are fleeing Illinois. We're at the bottom of virtually every statistic that matters on economic growth and wage growth, and we're losing our people. And I've been writing about this and studying it and promoting reforms for 15 years. And I finally said, look, I can keep writing about this or get engaged and fight for everyday Illinoisans. And so I said, what the heck, I got to do it. So here I am.
Good morning, Ted. Gabe Phifer here. So, there a lot of Republicans in the state of Illinois are very disheartened and have been for a long time. There's a lot of malaise out there. A lot of people who are saying, well, what's the point? The Pritzker type Democratic machine is going to run Illinois forever. That's a lot of the chatter that's going on out there. So how is your campaign looking to turn that around?
Well, I'm a lot more optimistic. I think, even with as much as Pritzker spent, he spent, I don't know, over $400 million the last, couple cycles. The most he could garner was, he didn't even get 55% the last time. So, as much as he's spending, he's got a ceiling at 55% of the vote. There's a lot of people that are frustrated, a lot of people that want change. And we saw in the last Trump election, there's a lot of people willing to cross the lines and vote for Trump. He got 44% without spending a penny here. So, there's disenfranchisement. Pritzker with his sanctuary state policies and allowing all the illegal immigrants to come in, that woke up a lot of people that they weren't first. The illegal immigrants were. Pritzker in the Safety Act, he's protecting criminals over victims. The property tax is highest in the country. They keep going up. Pritzker doubled gas taxes. He is not working for the ordinary everyday person. And so I think there's enough disenfranchisement. People looking for something different. And why should we be a bottom 5 state in all the things that matter? We should be a top 5 state. This is Illinois. And when you think about our assets and our power and our economic engine of Chicago, we should definitely be competing with the best states in the country, not be at the bottom of the barrel. And that's the kind of thing that I think we should obsess about. We should be a great state and we should fight for it. And what we need to do is unify the people who are looking for something different. Too many people shrug their shoulders today and just kind of give up. I think we need a renewed hope, and I want to bring that hope.
We're visiting with Ted Dabrowski, who is running for governor of Illinois. Okay, the divide between Chicago and downstate's nothing new. I mean, when I was growing up in Illinois in the 70s and 80s, that was there then. I think it's worse now because I think central and downstate Illinois just resent basically being put on the hook for the incompetence and the malfeasance in Chicago. Essentially, you look at the transit stuff and everything that goes along with it. How do you create policy? How do you lead policy as governor of Illinois to make this not only more fair, but turn around the economic damage that's being done, whether it's the transit authority, the pension that's busting all of the budgets, the pension issue, all of those things that are just burdening everybody literally down to the tip of Illinois. And it's all basically weighted. The problems are weighted in Chicago, but the cost is being, they're trying to distribute it throughout the entire state. How do you craft policy to not only correct that, but try to put the state back on some sort of manageable, sustainable budget?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is kind of expose where's all the money going, because, we, as I just said, we're paying the highest property taxes, and yet nobody feels like they're getting services for it. If you look at our our schools, most of our kids can't read anymore, and that's another whole topic on the lack of literacy. But nobody knows where the money goes, and somebody like Jeannie Ives has done a great job of exposing where the money is going, because so much is wasted. We've had a bureaucratic, just massive bureaucratic growth in our schools and in government. We've got the most units of government in the country, most local units of government in the country by far. So we got a lot of just administrative waste and all these massive pensions. So a lot of it has to do with just exposing it first, because you can't fix a problem that you don't understand. Democrats have run the state for a long time. Democrats have definitely run Chicago for, I guess, 93 years, Cook County for over 100. So they own the mess, and we need to expose that mess and then kind of work our way out of it. But I think for me, it's clear that there's just a lot of waste, and it's just the bureaucratic bloat that also gets in the way of economic growth, right? You can't have economic growth when you have the biggest debts in the country, and that's what we have. So it's a real big change we have to do. You have to kind of flip everything upside down. Our government tries to be too big, do too much, and it just gets in the way of people's lives, and that's why people and companies leave. We have to flip that and reverse it.
You mentioned the pension liability, and that's, I think, one of the major issues over there, right? Behind that is the teachers union, right? They're a very, very powerful organization over there. How are you going to be able to mobilize parents, I suppose, as your main line against the power of the teachers union in Illinois?
Well, you bring up downstate in Southern Illinois. I've looked at the teachers' powers. We've got some of the most extreme public union sector powers in this country, by far. And we can see all that through the Chicago Teachers Union and its militancy and how it strikes, and but it doesn't teach kids to read anymore. I think a big part of this is we got to get back to basics, and in our schools, the system. And I don't blame teachers per se, because I think the system is all corrupted. If you look in Decatur, if you look in Peoria, if you look in Rockford, and you look at the minority children, we're not teaching them to read anymore. Our system doesn't teach them how to read or do math. You'll see single digit. The percentage of kids that can read at grade level in the single digits, 6%, 10%, whatever, 12%, low digits. And a lot of that has to do with the union power. We have to reverse it. Our government has created so many powers for the public sector unions, and or everyday people don't have any of those kind of protections. We just keep paying more and more and more for the system. So that there has to be a fairness back. And right now, it's our everyday Illinois have become subservient to the public servants. It's upside down.
Okay, you mentioned J.B. Pritzker not even getting 55%, Donald Trump getting 44% without even spending a penny in the state. So how do you, as a candidate for governor, not only obviously get the Republican vote, which the nominee is going to get, but how do you cross over and get those independents? And even if there are any common sense Democrats left, you're going to need to win some of those. How can you, as a conservative, get that done? I mean, what's the path to victory? Because, we've had our friends from the Freedom Caucus say it's a big lift. It can be done, but it's got to be the right person with the right message. What's the right message?
Right. So you mentioned conservative quite a few times, and which is fine. I don't think that our positions are really necessarily conservative. I mean, there's nothing conservative about just having property taxes that are affordable. There's nothing conservative about having gas taxes that aren't the second highest in the country. We need to be competitive so that people can afford to live here. You look at jobs under Governor Pritzker in the last 7 years. We're fourth worst in the country in job creation, and it's almost zero. Our net new creation of jobs is zero, practically. Places like Texas and Florida, over 1 million new jobs. So we need just common sense policies. Governor Pritzker, the Democrats, you use the term of destroying the state. Look, we're at the bottom for people to be able to have an opportunity, and at least all kinds of messes, So it's just the common sense approach to this. And I think there's a lot of people who are sick of the extreme. I mean, if you look at, you're talking about boys and girls, boys and girls sports and stuff like that, the sanctuary state stuff, it's just so extreme, and people are going to look for something different. They want to hear something different. And so we've got to go out and find the persuadable middle, blacks, Hispanics, disenfranchised moms who don't like losing control over their kids. I think there's enough of them out there to cobble together a 50% plus one. It's a big battle. There's no doubt about that. I'm not naive to the situation, but there's a great base of voters, and we know that more people voted for Donald Trump than voted for Pritzker. I mean, there's two different races, so that's obvious. But there's enough voters out there. It's a question of whether Republicans can unify, and that's a big question too. But we have to be able to unify to win this.
Former Chicagolander, producer Jerome chiming in. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So back on Friday, it looks like Pritzker actually signed into effect House Bill 460, which expands financial aid access to essentially illegal immigrants. So one of the trends that we do notice is that people get very excited when they get a new candidate in, and then if they can't deliver every single thing, they want to switch back. So assuming we can actually get a strong red candidate into as a governor, do you think that undoing the mess that J.B. Pritzker is going to be simple within the first term, or do you think it's going to take longer to be able to, then people might be wanting to sit through and acknowledge when it comes to undoing this entire disgusting web of J.B. Pritzker's failure?
Yeah, like the web is massive. Some of it is, not just laws that have been changed, but they changed the Constitution as well. So I think, look, the first step is to win the governorship. It's not gerrymandered, right? The rest of the state is gerrymandered when you're talking about the state house. And so there's 4 years of campaign work to be done after, even if we can win, we have to campaign like crazy to keep exposing, because people don't know exactly, they can't connect the dots between what's wrong in Illinois and their government. They hear things from the media. It's not honest. Our politicians aren't honest. The things that Governor Pritzker says about Illinois is not true. And so people are confused. So we have to spend the next 4 years just exposing, look, these problems are tied to these laws, which are tied to these politicians. And, the change will take time. But I think there are some things that can be done, I think, more quickly. I mean, I think, we have to bring property taxes down. Otherwise, we'll just keep losing people. We have to bring literacy back. We have to bring some form of school choice back. We have to bring lots of school choice back. But, all these things will be these are tough bargaining things. But the exposure, the pressure, the bully pulpit of the governorship is key to beginning that reform. But we have to change paths. Right now, we're on a path that's going down, and we have to change flip the momentum and make people optimistic about Illinois again.
Okay,
I think this is a great state. I mean, we have horrible politics, but we can make this one of the top states in the country.
Okay, so Ted, we've already tagged you on our social media, but when will the official announcement come? And also, is there a website, social media for the campaign up, anything like that?
It'll all be coming out. We're just building out all those assets. It'll all be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, good. All right. So in the meantime, follow you on social media. Obviously, Wirepoints is a good place to continue getting that coverage, because Wirepoints isn't going anywhere during the campaign, right?
That's right.
Yeah, because I read it every day. So, all right. Ted Dabrowski running for...
It's been key.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. Ted Dabrowski, from Wirepoints, obviously now running for governor of Illinois as well. We're going to hopefully have you back on soon, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
All right. We'd love to be on. Thank you so much.
All right. Got some thoughts on that? Let me know. Send me a note on social media, Rumble chat box, Facebook comments, you name it. Tweet at us. 314-912-1019. Going to bring you update on what's happening with the news dump right around 6:50.
St. Charles' next executive will lead the county through some big decisions. Councilman Mike Elam wants to be that leader, and he'll give us his vision for the country at 7:05.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
On NewsTalkSTL.
It's a place that leaves no regrets. Cross the border down to Mexico.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Irrigation systems are put through the stress test throughout our hot Heartland summers when temperatures skyrocket and rain is scarce. Tim Jones here for Hydrodynamics Core, which you should call today to make sure your irrigation system is running at peak performance. This is critical to ensure your lawn and foliage remain lush and lovely, and that your grass and plants thrive instead of just barely survive. Schedule a monthly system checkup today with Hydrodynamics Core to make sure your irrigation system is working at its best. That's hydrodynamicscore.com, hydrodynamicscore.com.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, the boil water advisory is over. This affected a lot of people in the area here.
Sure did.
We'll get to that in just a minute. The emergency management leader who failed St. Louis gets to defend herself, and the Cardinals. Well, they did the Cardinal way. The new Cardinal way.
Oh, no.
The 2025 Cardinal way happened yesterday. All right, 6:51. Let's dump some news on you here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
Hey, there's always next year. My mom's a Cubs fan. I listened to that all my entire life. There's always next year. Okay. All right. The boil water advisory is over. That was issued for both St. Charles and St. Peter's late last week after that water main was damaged. So the advisory was issued as a precaution while the water could be tested for safety. The results fortunately showed that the water is safe and there was never a danger. The precaution basically creates kind of a hassle, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
So don't get mad at them for issuing that and then saying, oh, well, we should have issued it. The water was safe. No. If there was a problem, a lot of people could have been sick. So I have no issue with this.
Abundance of caution always kind of wins out in those situations.
Especially with the water.
Oh, for sure. I mean, because people are, mixing up baby formula with this water, right? So, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. So the good news is the water turned out to be safe, which we kind of knew was probably going to be the case on it. But if you sat there and boiled your water, you did not waste any time or energy. You were just being safe. Don't worry about it. All right. Let's see here. St. Louis City's emergency management director, Sarah Russell, remains on paid leave, but faces a disciplinary hearing today. Now, that is related, obviously, to the failure of her department to sound the warning sirens May 16th when the tornado hit the city. Following today's hearing, the director of public safety will have 14 days to make a decision on what's going to happen, if anything happens to her. Published reports say Russell's salary is $100,000 per year, or at least it was on the last year that was recorded and is available via public information. And so essentially she's been on a 3-month paid vacation at $100,000 a year is what's happening right now with Sarah Russell. She's been defending herself, speaking up on social media. So she gets a chance to do that today. Within 2 weeks, we might know what's going to happen. There is no excuse whatsoever for the city of St. Louis to keep her on the payroll whatsoever in any way, shape, or form, demotion, anything. If they want to send a message that they're serious about city government doing city government things, forget the whole representation, woke, ideological nonsense. Say this person failed in the one job that she had. She's not qualified to continue to get paid to do it. We'll move on without her.
Yeah, what sexual orientation is required to say, hey, could one of you wait back by the button?
Yeah, push the button
Right.
in case of tornado.
Yeah, seriously. What gender fluid nonsense is required in your brain in order to execute that job?
Yeah.
Because obviously she didn't have it this time.
No, exactly. All right. California Democrats unveiling a new congressional map. Of course, they want to change 5 Republican-held seats and give them to the Democrats. And this is in response to the redistricting efforts in places like Texas and Missouri, which is being pushed for. And of course, those are in response to gerrymandering in states like California and Illinois and some others as well. California Republican Congressman Darrell Issa was on Fox News Live discussing the plan.
Even if you want a Democrat representing you, do you really want to have a one-party state and a one-party country that, tells you what to do? And of course, the answer to the vast majority of the voters is no. So I think they're going to reject this.
Okay, so the reality is the Democrats in blue states and the Republicans in red states absolutely want one-party rule.
Oh yeah,
that's exactly what they want.
That's the goal. I mean, why wouldn't it be if you're the leader of the party or if you're a member of the party? But yeah, it's fascinating to see though when people have been doing these analyses lately of the state's representation, and it's funny how many blue states there are where somewhere between 30-40% went to went red, but they have 0 representatives.
Right.
It's kind of hilarious.
Oh my goodness. All right. So what's happening is in California, they are putting a special election on the ballot in early November. Now remember, this is an off year in order to basically ask the voters to approve the gerrymandered districts, because Texas is going to hand Republicans 5 more districts. And so California is saying we're going to match that and hand Democrats 5 more districts as well. Okay, so a lot of talk happening about the Russia-Ukraine thing. Russia-Ukraine ceasefire agreement not reached during the summit in Alaska over the weekend that was attended by President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Trump says the meeting was productive, though, even though there wasn't a deal made. Senator Eric Schmidt was on Fox News Sunday talking about that.
President Trump is engaging Russia. He's bringing the two parties together to get to peace. That has always been his North Star. And I have full confidence that President Trump is going to do everything he can to facilitate that.
And Ukrainian President Zelensky is going to be at the White House meeting with President Trump today. And of course, now I'm getting word that Zelensky is saying, I'm open to land swaps. In order to make some deals, but that's not what Russia wants. They don't want Russia. They want to conquer Ukraine and reclaim it for the old USSR and trying to put the band back together is what he's doing. So we'll see whether or not anything comes from that. Okay, let's see here. The Cardinals took a tie with the Yankees into the 9th inning on Sunday, and then the Cardinals went all Cardinals.
At least new Cardinals.
Yeah.
It sucks. How did they forget how to baseball?
Oh my goodness! And then the error that kicked it all off.
Yeah.
From second base, I mean, it was just like little league error.
Oh, really?
So bad. It was a ground ball to the second baseman, turned around and didn't set, and just tried to throw across his body. Pulls Alec Burleson way off the bag from like 30 feet away.
Jeez.
It was. I would have been upset with my old man baseball second baseman.
What are you doing?
If he had done this? Oh my goodness, not to mention a major leaguer. So the Redbirds end up giving up 4 runs in the last inning to lose the game. Final score was 8-4. Yankees end up sweeping the series. Redbirds are now 18 games out of first place. Cardinals are on the road today. They start a series with the Marlins. First pitch is at 5:40. And I was watching the game with a bunch of my teammates. I had my own game yesterday, and then we went to one of our teammates' houses for kind of an after game party. And we're watching the game there. And I mean, we're just like, hand me another beer. It's like, it's not healthy, but we're celebrating because we won our game, but now we're drowning our sorrows watching the Cardinals.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Fall is here, and Daniel's Farm and Greenhouse has everything you need to make your yard shine. From vibrant mums and fall blooms to pumpkins, gourds, and seasonal containers that will make your neighbors jealous. Need trees, shrubs, or fresh vegetables? We've got you covered with 15 greenhouses of full-quality plants, mulch, soil, and winter protection supplies. Our family knowledgeable staff is here to help you 7 days a week. Daniel's Farm and Greenhouse, family-owned and your outdoor experts. On Juggerman and St. Peters and at danielsfarminggreenhouse.com.
We aren't asking you to volunteer for CASA. We're asking you to advocate for
Alex,
Andre,
Ava,
Max,
Olivia, Ciara.
CASA volunteers make a lasting impact in a child's life in only a few volunteer hours a week. As a CASA volunteer, you support a child throughout their experience in foster care, advocating for their needs and ensuring their voice is heard.
Learn more at mocasa.org. Paid for by the Missouri CASA Association.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rick Thomason. Today, President Trump takes the next step in his bid to end the bloodshed in Ukraine. He'll host Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and others for talks at the White House.
The talks come on the heels of Donald Trump's meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Zelensky will be joined here in Washington by several NATO and European leaders. Ahead of the White House meeting, administration officials said the U.S. and European allies could offer Ukraine a security guarantee resembling NATO's collective defense mandate. It's unclear, though, how committed President Trump would be to such a guarantee, given his criticism of past U.S. financial support for Ukraine. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Texas House Democrats who fled the state a couple of weeks ago, slowing Republican plans to redraw congressional maps, indicate they're ready to return home, perhaps starting later today. The Texas House hopes to convene with a quorum later in the day. Erin has bulked up, now a Category 4 storm, once again stirring up treacherous surf along the U.S. East Coast. Erin has caused a good deal of damage in the Caribbean. There's widespread flooding and power outages on Puerto Rico. Erin, the first hurricane of this year's Atlantic hurricane season. New York City police searching for suspects following yesterday morning's shooting at a Brooklyn nightclub left 3 people dead, 9 others wounded.
We have the lowest number of shooting incidents and shooting victims 7 months into the year that we've seen on record in the city of New York. Something like this is, of course, thank God, an anomaly, and it's a terrible thing that happened this morning, but we're going to investigate it and get to the bottom of what went down.
NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures in the red so far. The Dow futures are down 34 points. NASDAQ futures 45 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gordon's and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Big weather changes coming later this week, but for now we are stuck on hot. The heat advisory continues, 97 for the high, a heat index of 106 this afternoon. Some isolated storms possible, very limited in coverage, but some lightning, some brief downpours, and some gusty winds if you get caught under one. Down to 76 tonight, 1 or 2 storms around. Still steamy Tuesday, 94, a heat index of 103, but scattered rain and storms tomorrow signal that the cooler air is starting to move in. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Well, it is definitely summer here in the heartland. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service for all of your commercial and residential tree care. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Let them come out to your homestead or your business today. Take care of everything regarding the exterior of your home. Grinding and land clearing, all residential and commercial tree services. They've got fantastic organic mulch in bulk, plant health care as well. Give them a call, 636-379-1830, 24/7. They're always available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
I remember my son was going to grow up without a father.
I didn't think someone at 23 could be diagnosed with breast cancer.
I was probably the healthiest I had been in my life.
Early detection of a melanoma saved my life.
I survived testicular cancer because of early detection.
I survived cancer not once, but twice because of early detection.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bob Onder. Early detection equals better outcomes. Learn what routine cancer screenings you need and book your doctor's appointment today.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Gabe Phifer.
Extra sugar honey iced tea, baby.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, St. Charles is growing. So the question isn't, is it going to grow? It's growing.
Mm-hmm.
How should it grow? That's one of the decisions the county's leadership is going to have to make and going to have to manage in the coming years. And there's a lot of big questions involved with that because St. Charles County in particular, not just the city, but county, I think is frankly one of the driving forces in the entire metro area. Downtown St. Louis is not the epicenter of the St. Louis region anymore. I think you can make an argument that that's shifting to St. Charles County.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a doubt. All right. It is 7:06 right now. Councilman Mike Elam joins us from St. Charles County Council, and he is running for county executive as well. So he wants to be the one to lead the county. Mike, appreciate you being on the program here. So let me start with one of the big issues regarding growth, because we talk about, there's a lot of housing differences of opinion out there, but business differences of opinion as well. This data center that is being proposed, a lot of strong opinions on both sides. I know that there is a vote tomorrow. I don't know if it is the final vote on this. What is it that's being proposed? Why does it matter so much? And what's your opinion on what should happen with it?
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to join you guys. It's always nice to get the chance to talk to Mike Ferguson, so I appreciate that. This data centers as a whole, I don't think are bad things. We actually have 5 data centers that I know of in St. Charles County right now. The one that most people will probably know about, but they don't think of it as a data center, is the MasterCard facility that's out here in O'Fallon. I don't know if people realize, but every time that you swipe a MasterCard, that financial transaction actually gets processed at the data center right here in O'Fallon in Winghaven. So that's located in our county. So data centers as a whole, I don't think are bad. That being said, I don't think you could have done a worse job of proposing a data center in a community than what Cumulus has done in the project that they have put forth in St. Charles City. They just started off on the wrong foot, and they just continued to double down on that. So the city council is going to be voting on that, like you said, tomorrow night, and that will be the final vote of what's going to happen. I don't see this passing. I don't see any way that it's going to happen. Planning and zoning voted it down. So what that means is they have to have 7 of the 10 city council members vote to override planning and zoning. And I can't imagine that is going to happen. When this data center came in, they had been very secret about who this data center is for. So you don't even know who's driving the bus on that. That starts off as the number one question that people are wondering about. But because of that, and I understand from a business perspective, they don't want their competitors to know what they're doing. I get that. So they asked the mayor and the city council members to all sign NDAs. Well, that really tied their hands as to what they could say publicly about this data center. And they really left it at that point to the Cumulus group who's driving the bus to be able to say, okay, here's the questions that you have, and here are the answers that you're looking for. And they really haven't answered those questions at all. So I don't see this passing. I'm curious if once it goes down, are they going to come back with a different proposal? I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, a lot of times when we vote down housing developments, in many cases, we see the developer come back with better opportunities than what their initial foray was. So that may be something that happens here. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. And obviously, like you said, this is going to be a city decision here. What's the right way if you're with you obviously on the county council, but if you're the executive, what's the best way to partner with cities on things like this? Because that affects a lot more than just the city of St. Charles.
Well, I think you've seen that happen with County Executive Elam and with St. Charles County Council. I think you've seen that happen throughout the time that Steve has been the county executive and the 12 years that I've been on the council. You've got to work with your cities to find out what's the best overall way to move forward for the county. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Page Extension got done all the way out to Lake St. Louis and Highway 40. We did a partnership with all of the cities of St. Charles County. They put back in their federal funding because they saw the greater good and what that was going to do for the county. So we were able to put together our cost share of the $118 million it took to do phase 3 of the Page Extension. So you've got to work together to make sure that you're getting things done for the greater good. And I think the St. Charles City Council members, hats off to them. Especially Councilman Justin Faust, Councilman Mark Hollander. They have done a great job of inviting public comment, and they've done open houses, they've done town halls, they've been as transparent as they possibly can under the circumstances to say, how do you feel about this? And I think they've done a great job of trying to be as transparent as they can and trying to make this decision.
Good morning, Gabe Phifer here. So Mike mentioned it early on about the growth is coming to St. Charles, and I think this issue over the data center is kind of one among many. I don't want to say fights, but many conversations that are going to be coming through the council, right? So what's your kind of vision of this? What is the abiding idea behind how the growth should be happening in the St. Charles area?
Well, hey, Gabe.
Hey.
I appreciate the question. Growth isn't coming. Growth is here, man.
Right.
I mean, St. Charles County has been the fastest growing county in the state of Missouri for over 20 years. And that hasn't slowed down. I mean, just last year, we added 6,000 people to St. Charles County. And people are coming here, quite frankly, because it is the best place to live in the state of Missouri. And it's one of the best places to live in the United States of America. I mean, we had 3 national publications last year that named St. Charles County as the best place to live in Missouri. And they ranked us in the top 50 best counties in the United States of Missouri. O'Fallon was number 1, St. Peter's number 2, St. Charles number 3 as the best cities to live in the state of Missouri. So this growth that we've seen is going to change over the next 10 to 20 years. The way St. Charles really grew over the last 25 years or so is you had a lot of farmers who the parents were going to retire, the grandparents were going to retire. They wanted to hand the farm off to the kids, and the kids said, yeah, I'm good. I don't want to do that. Or the grandparents passed away and the kids got the farm and they said, yeah, I don't want to farm. So they sold all that acreage to developers and then they put 400 homes on it, right? That's not going to happen anymore. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're not making new land. That pretty much stopped, I think, day 6. I don't think God created anymore, so we're out, right? So no new land is coming. And that really is getting us to the point of how are we going to grow from here? And I think you've got a number of areas in the western part of the county that's going to grow. The new mayor of Forestdale is a guy who I really appreciate because he walked into that job knowing that he is the next growth area. It went St. Peter's to O'Fallon and then to Wentzville. Wentzville's still blowing up, but Forestdale is going to be that next area. And that's why you're seeing all of these overpasses that are getting redone. I mean, I-70 being expanded to 3 lanes each way with the nearly $3 billion the legislature approved is going to run more traffic through our county. The big meat processing plant that just got approved over in Warren County is adding a lot of development on the western side. So we're starting to see that part of growth happening on the western side, but we've really got to find what's the balance between that municipal and rural. And St. Charles County is very unique in that we are never going to be St. Louis County. For one reason, 43% of our county is floodplain. So you just can't develop in the floodplain. Despite the fact that people try to bring in land and build it up, there's only so much that you can do that for. So I think what we're doing is trying to find that balance. And I think we're finding it for the most part. You saw some developments that they tried to do in the northern part of the county that we said, no, that's just too dense for that region. So you're seeing that when a development started happening in the south part of the county, we pushed back on that development. And they went from 556 homes down to 120. We said, okay, so that is setting a border of, we went from quarter-acre lots to 3-acre lots in that development. So now it gives us an opportunity to really set the boundaries, if you will, of where we are going to be 3 acres and where we're going to be more municipal developments. And I think those are the discussions that we're going to be seeing over the next few years.
Okay, just got a minute or so left. We're visiting with Mike Elam, St. Charles County Councilman, who's running for county executive right now.
Sorry, man, I guess those answers were too long.
No. I want the in-depth answers, but just means we got to have you back on to ask you the other questions. But I do want to ask about.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the property tax issue. Obviously, tax burden around the state. Everybody's talking about it. There's going to be a hearing in St. Louis County this week regarding property taxes in particular. What is the right approach if there's any reform that needs to be made? Obviously, I know what, if you listen to the show, you know what I think about property taxes. But when you look at the property taxes and the collection of taxes people are paying right now, what should change, if anything, particularly in St. Charles County?
Well, in St. Charles County, we only make up 2.5% of the total property tax bill that you have in our county. And real estate taxes, by the way, St. Charles County government is 0. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So if you live in St. Charles County and you pull out your real estate tax bill that you paid in 2024, it shows you by political subdivision where that money went. So let's say you spent $5,000 on real estate taxes in 2024. When you look at that bill, the top line shows you what you paid to St. Charles County government, and it's 0. Now, I appreciate new ideas, but new math, not so much. It's tough to get below 0. I think we can agree on that. And we only make up 2.5% of your personal property tax, and that's all that we have authority over getting rid of. So your schools, your fire district, ambulance, all of those folks, they have the power over their own personal property tax. So if that's going to get overruled, it's going to have to be done at a state level. County does not have that ability. All we have is emergency dispatch, think 911, communication systems, and road and bridge. So that's the money that we use to pay for the Page extension. Those are the only 2 funds that we get personal property tax from. And again, it only makes up 2.5%. So I know it's a topic that certain candidates love to bang on, and they think that we need to get rid of personal property tax. Man, I want to get rid of every tax that I can, but I also want to make sure that we have the money to do the things the public expects of us. There's a difference between just yelling, let's get rid of taxes, and then saying, okay, let's be good stewards of the money that our residents give us. And I think you saw it with the capital tax approval last year. That's a tax that's been in place for a long time. The residents have to go back every 10 years and reapprove that, and they have to approve the road and bridge tax. We got 73% approval on the road and bridge tax the last time it went, and the capital tax got a 66% approval by the voters. So I think it's more about showing the residents that you're good stewards of their money rather than just scream, let's get rid of every tax. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to pay for cops, you got to pay for roads, you got to pay for infrastructure. You've got to be an adult in the conversation, and you've got to be responsible with the money that people give you.
Okay, Mike, website, social media, anything like that, people can connect with you and check out your positions?
You can always find me at Vote Mike Elam at all the social medias and MikeElam.com on the website. We appreciate the opportunity, guys. Thanks very much.
You got it, Mike. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
All right, 314-912-1019. All right, just ahead, this is going to be interesting on what you have control over and what you don't in your personal life.
Now, speaking of what you have control over, sometimes that includes the way you spend your money. So somebody that can help you with that is Steve Forbes. He's got an event coming up. You can find more information about that on our website. There's a big banner. All you have to do is click on it, reserve your tickets. And hey, one of the things people often do is they reserve their spot for something and then they forget when it was supposed to be. So go ahead and put it in your calendar.
There you go.
And that will help you come and hang out with us and learn better ways that our money could be used.
Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You want to do that now? Get up,
Columbo and Company.
On Monday, we'll discuss the news and reaction coming from the Trump-Putin meetings, plus Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire, former Mo Rep Paul Kurtman, and AI expert Mike McCleary.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalkSTL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. When life changes, you need someone you can trust. That's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law, they're dedicated to helping you through all of life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com. Don't forget, first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session. Sivia Law, helping you protect what matters most.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
All right, maybe I'm just overthinking things. But does it seem like big government isn't the only big brother to worry about?
Oh, absolutely.
There can be big brother in the private sector as well.
We have lots of brothers.
Right.
And they're all big.
Oh my goodness. So here's where I'm going with this. How much control over things you use every day is actually centered somewhere in the matrix. Okay, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
This is so bizarre. Volkswagen is testing a program. They're actually going to operate this. It's in Europe right now. It's not here yet. But they're actually doing a program to regulate how fast you can drive your car. And if you want more horsepower, you can pay a subscription fee, and then they will remotely allow you to drive your own car that you own faster. I saw this on the BBC. BBC's website was one of the websites that had this. So Volkswagen introducing a monthly fee for its electric cars where people have to pay extra to actually unlock the full horsepower. So they'll sell you all the horsepower, but you have to rent the last little bit of it. Now, this is only in the UK for right now, but you can get around 15% more horsepower if you pay our equivalent of $22 a month. Now, there are people who are going to look at the $22 a month and want to debate that. And I'm going, wait a minute. Why are you handing over control of how you drive to some nameless, faceless, whatever, even in the private sector? And why do we even have this technology?
Now, I was under the impression, maybe it was just announced, but back in 2023, because I've got friends that are in Germany and other parts of the Europe as well, and they were all warning, saying, don't let this become a thing. And this was around the same time that Ford announced that they were going to have the capability to repossess your vehicle if you were late on your payments. It was going to automatically drive itself back to the dealership. And so now you're saying it's actually being fully unveiled?
Because you look at also, now this isn't like driving the car for you, but it's you want to go, not yet. But here's the thing is basically the Volkswagen ID.3 electric car has 228 horsepower. But if you don't pay that extra fee, you only get 201 horsepower.
That little extra bit.
So they
can hold it back.
I mean, first of all, the concept is stupid to start with.
I don't like it.
It's absolutely stupid. And while people are focusing on the horsepower, I'm thinking, wait a minute, why are you voluntarily letting some corporation make a decision for you? And why are you paying them to ask permission to actually drive your vehicle autonomously yourself?
Yeah. It's a really weird thing. It's to me, it's kind of an especially weird thing for a German company to do. It's like, guys, come. I mean,
I wonder if there's a history with Volkswagen. Look it up. People.
You want an electric car? You must pay for the juice.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
Again, Google search the history of Volkswagen.
I'm just saying.
Okay, but let's look also at what's happening.
I got the room with that one.
Oh my god!
Something that I would say, Gabe. You're supposed to go to this.
Oh man!
But still, I mean, it's like you're saying. The idea of Big Brother kind of we're not really owning anything.
No,
and I dare say, I mean, and this is, you might call this a stretch, but I kind of feel like it started with streaming services because they made us feel like we own all of the various entertainment that's there.
Yeah.
But we're only we're paying for access to their library of it.
Correct.
And they have the right to at any time pull something, adjust something. They could literally change the product on you in the middle of it. Yeah. So you don't actually own anything. It's one of the reasons why I promote actual hard media to buy your DVDs and actually have them in a collection at home. So it's kind of the same thing. Instead of actually owning a vehicle and all the horsepower that comes through it, you're just paying for access to it.
Well, you're paying to own most of it. But also look at what's happening in the U.S. There are a lot of people that signed up because they were given a little bit of a discount. We'll hand you $50 to put a smart meter in your home. And we just did a story a couple weeks ago on the local
right here
energy company saying we're going to take over your smart meter because that's part of the deal. We're going to regulate how hot or cold your house is,
right?
Because we decide we have a greater good, which is the energy grid and all that sort of thing. And then we've actually had proposals in the U.S. and in Missouri, which went nowhere, to say we're going to track how much your miles are and tax you on that instead of just relying on the tax of gasoline to pay for roads. That was promoted, doing a mileage tax, which they're trying to do in parts of California right now as well. So, but all of this means that you are reporting your private activities to somebody
constantly.
Now, we've talked about the government, but I've also talked about the utility company. And now you've got literally a car company saying, we will allow you to put the accelerator all the way down because we will allow you to do more if you pay us more in addition to just buying the car. So how much of this are we outsourcing of our lives and control of our lives? And why are we being conditioned to say, oh, well, I guess I better do that deal?
Well, and this goes back even further than this announcement. So John Deere tractors and farm equipment are notorious for that. You cannot work on and improve your own John Deere tractors.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I think a lot of there's that rift between, well, it hasn't affected me yet. And then there are the people, unfortunately, that say, well, if this saves lives in traffic incidences, if this stops people from speeding away from cops. But, going back to what Gabe was saying is, it's not just streaming either. There's the idea of licensing things instead of owning them. So about a year or back in 2023 as well, people that paid for the online versions of Discovery Channel content, that they thought they bought the rights to the episode online. Sony and Discovery had a contract falling out, and Discovery said, okay, well, you can't have any of the things that you thought you paid for. We're just going to remove it so you can't watch it on there. So I think that's kind of, it should have been a big warning sign back then, but at the same time, why are we okay with this? Why are we not making a bigger ruckus and saying, look, we want to own the things that we give you the money for?
Yeah, it's very much you will own nothing and you will be happy about it.
Well, and that's the bigger picture. And it's not just government that does that. But imagine, listen, Volkswagen's getting out of control with this. I mean, seriously, check this out here.
Hello, I am your Volkswagen Artificial Intelligence Assistant. Would you like to go faster than 37 miles per hour? Please swipe your credit card on the dash screen. Want to listen to the radio? That will be another small charge. Alert, your air conditioning is running low. Please pay now to stay cool and comfortable. Don't forget about the seatbelt fee. Welcome to the future of nickel and diming.
Okay, maybe not quite that bad, but not yet.
Stop giving them ideas, Mike.
Right. Yeah. So, Congressman Bob Honor at 7:35. We now know why so much mail delivery has been late. What do we do about it? Also, do we need another round of crackdowns on woke schools this time here in the St. Louis area? Hope so.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Big weather changes coming later this week, but for now we are stuck on hot. The heat advisory continues, 97 for the high, a heat index of 106 this afternoon. Some isolated storms possible, very limited in coverage, but some lightning, some brief downpours, and some gusty winds if you get caught under one. Down to 76 tonight, 1 or 2 storms around. Still steamy Tuesday, 94, a heat index of 103, but scattered rain and storms tomorrow signal that the cooler air is starting to move in. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Back pain? Follow me to Esquire Sports Medicine, where they've got your back. Esquire is the oldest sports medicine clinic in St. Louis. Dr. Draghi and his team of chiropractors can get you back to work, back to life without the pain. New patients usually scheduled within 24 hours. 314-644-0885. 644-0885. EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
There is a thin line between credit and blame. And in this case, I want to give credit to John Stossel. He wrote an excellent article titled, "The Next Wave of Socialist Politicians Will Bring Crisis, Not Change." Of course, he's focusing on Mondami, who has an 80% chance of becoming the next New York City mayor. Mondami claims we have to continue to elect more socialists. We have to ensure we are unapologetic about our socialism. Stossel says we should not be apologetic. Socialism wrecks lives. And he points out Mondami wants to have a $30 minimum wage for workers, $30 an hour. Stossel points out last year California demanded $20 an hour. A lot of people liked the idea until they realized companies had to lay people off. Those who kept their job, they got $20 an hour. The others, good luck for you. George Will, the columnist, said, I kind of want Mondami to win. Because if every 20 years we need to have an experiment with socialism so the modern generation can watch it fail.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
In all of these years that Wellington Environmental has been my sponsor, I've never mentioned their duct cleaning services. Allergy season is here, and Wellington crews clean air ducts daily in homes and commercial buildings, also cleaning air handling units and diffusers in commercial facilities. Why? Well, because people will see black dirt and mold on the vents, or they are actually suffering from allergies. Don't be fooled by low-cost duct cleaning providers saying they charge only per vent, because once they get on site, the price will skyrocket. Wellington does not do this, never has. Wellington will give you an estimate, and you say Larry Connors, and immediately you get a 20% discount. Call Cindy, 314-644-4930, 314-644-4930. Make your home and business better, safer with Wellington. Be well with Wellington.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, woke schools and a broken postal system and what to do with those congressional district lines. There's a lot on the agenda for our leaders, including congressmen and women these days. Coming up on 7:36, Mike Ferguson here, now joined by Congressman Bob Onder. Bob, glad to have you back. You, of course, did that trip to Israel. Before we get into some of these, local impact things, tell me about the takeaways that you're bringing back from Israel. Of course, Chris and Tim were there, and I know you guys ran into each other in Israel at one point. But what was the purpose of you and some of your colleagues being in Israel, and what are you taking away from that?
Yeah, good morning. It's great to be back. Yeah, the trip to Israel was attended by most of the House freshman Republican delegation, as well as the Democrats. A week later, we overlapped by a couple of days. And I think it was really to gain more information about the situation there in that particularly dangerous part of the Middle East. I'll tell you, our allies, the Israelis, live in a very tough neighborhood. Since the massacre on October 7th, thousands of missiles have been targeted at Israel, whether from Hezbollah up in Lebanon, Hamas down in Gaza, or of course even Iran. We got to see some of the missile systems. We went to an Arrow missile silo, which can intercept missiles, incoming ballistic missiles in the outer atmosphere, as well as the Golden Dome or Iron Dome and David Sling. We met with Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Herzog. It was really a great opportunity to learn about our alliance with Israel and some of the situations on the ground there in the Middle East.
Morning, Bob. Gabe here. Now bringing things a little closer to home here. We've been watching for the last couple of days all these celebrations on the news of St. Louis public schools, and going back to school has been apparently a really big deal for a lot of folks. But local schools have also been caught pushing more of their LGBTQ plus whatever nonsense for the first week of school already as well. What do you make of where we're going with our school systems right now?
Yeah, it is really appalling that the gender activists disguised as teachers in our public schools continue to try to indoctrinate and groom our children. Of course, it was just a couple of years ago that Parkway schools, I think it was a different Parkway school, were caught hiding gender transition from parents, not only changing pronouns and changing names at school, but also they consulted with the WashU Transgender Center about whether they should hide breast binding from parents, and they were told yes, and then they did so. So here's some teachers, so-called, at the Parkway Southwest Middle School put together this LGBTQ bulletin board, and on it were all sorts of flags, some of which I never heard of. Not only your usual trans and non-binary and gender fluid, but also omnisexual, berisexual, and almond sexual.
What?
I mean, I have no idea what an almond sexual individual is.
I don't want to know.
But
No.
I don't want to know, and B, I want to know why their test scores are crap. I'm sorry for my language there. While they're teaching like 1,800 different genders, this is ridiculous. I believe it's both a violation of current federal policy under Title IX and under FERPA. It's obviously in violation of Trump's January executive order, but also Missouri's long-standing sex education statute 170.015, which says that parents need to be informed of the content of sex ed. And let's face it, if you put a bulletin board devoted to sex on the wall, that's sex ed. And parents have a right to opt out. And there's no way you can opt out of something that's in a public place. So this kind of garbage has no place in our public schools. And I, as a taxpayer, don't want to have any place in funding it.
Yeah. So what do we do about this? I mean, I know there was a ruling with I believe it was the federal court in Maryland that kind of struck down part of what the president's trying to do regarding all of this garbage in schools, siding with Randy Weingarten and the AFT on this. I don't know if that has an effect here, but what are the things we can do about it? Because what we're talking, I'll just say it out loud. What we're talking about is grooming children through the public schools. And I'm pretty sure this one got caught, but I suspect this is happening a lot more than what a lot of parents want to think.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, there's no question it's grooming, pure and simple. It's been very successful. The idea of being transsexual, it used to be a 1 in 30,000 phenomenon. It was mostly older, definitely well into adulthood men. Think Bruce Jenner turning into Caitlyn Jenner, or Stephen Levin turning into Rachel Levin, Admiral Rachel Levin from the Biden administration. Now I think every parent knows junior high classes where 2, 3, 5 girls all of a sudden declare themselves to be transgender. And it's a result of just incessant grooming in the school system, online, and in our popular culture. What to do about it? I mean, I think there's definitely a role for intervention by the Attorney General's office. I know this sort of garbage is on Attorney General Andrew Bailey's radar screen. I think we need to get rid of the April school board elections. The only reason we continue to elect school boards that tolerate this garbage is that in April elections, only teachers union supporters show up. I mean, we've tried very hard. This show and I and others have tried to raise awareness of this kind of stuff and the importance of electing good school board members. But realistically, most folks don't know what's going on, and they and basically the teachers unions end up electing the school boards. But I really do think the Trump administration is correct. This is a violation of Title IX. It's a violation of FERPA, which is the Parents' Rights Act under federal law. I think some of it's going to be litigation, but Trump's executive order also directed the Department of Education to look at defunding programs, and for that matter, schools that persistently violate the law.
We're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder. Okay, let me switch gears just a little bit because this affects everybody whether they realized it or not. And I know you and Congressman Bost and Congresswoman Wagner, and I think Mary Miller was involved in this, Congresswoman Miller. The United States Postal Service has this sort of hub here in the St. Louis area, and it sucks. An audit confirms that there were all kinds of problems with mail being delayed and lost and all sorts of things. So what were the results of the audit, and what is it that we need to do to get this basic function up and running? Because this affects a lot of people. I say privatize the whole thing, but a lot of people don't like that idea. But how do we address what's going wrong with the postal hub here in St. Louis?
Yeah, Mike, it's a huge issue, and that's why I joined a lot of my colleagues from Missouri and Southern Illinois in a letter urging the Inspector General to conduct an audit of the St. Louis Processing and Delivery Center. And the Inspector General did do that audit, and we just got those results last week. I mean, this is just one tidbit from the audit. At the time they did the audit, that Postal Service office reported 1.5 million delayed pieces of mail. That's pretty bad, 1.5 million total. It turns out their audit revealed in June of 2025, 2.6 million pieces of delayed mail in 2 days. 2.6 million in 2 days. In 5 areas that they looked at, clearance, delays, security, and some other issues, they found deficiencies in all 5. And they asked for a response from the various bureaucrats who run that office, and they said, "Oh yeah, we're going to fix it." That's not good enough. We need to clean house. Those people need to be replaced, and ultimately, I think we need to look at what you said, which it is the nuclear option, but at some point, when we look at a piece of mail now costing 78 cents as of last month, that's a 74% increase. I'm sorry, that's what is that? That's about it was a third. I think that was a 24% increase. So the third increase in 2 years. We should be getting better service, and I can't help but to think that the private sector couldn't do a lot better job than the government is doing delivering the mail.
100% agree. All right, Congressman Bob Onder, welcome back. Appreciate you being back on this program. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, guys.
All right, a lot of ground I wanted to cover with Bob.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, really.
All right, goodness.
Now,
All right.
now I've got a really cool story. Now you might find it really weird, but it may end up helping us get to space.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, like Katy Perry.
like Katy Perry, exactly.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On NewsTalkSTL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. consultation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It is coming up on 7:49 on this Monday morning. You know what that means. Gabe, I need you to tell me something good.
Good news, everyone.
Tell me something good.
A new device is promising an accurate and non-invasive means of detecting meningitis in babies. Oh. It's really cool. Meningitis is an inflammation of the membrane surrounding the brain and spinal cord. So when caused by bacteria or fungi, it can be fatal if not diagnosed and treated early. And even in cases where the disease is overcome, it can leave serious after effects, including brain damage. So it's very important that you get that diagnosis really early. Now, despite medical advances in recent decades, meningitis remains a major threat to child health, and diagnosing it currently requires a spinal tap, not the good kind,
not the band,
not the band, movie, but the actual tapping of the spine to collect fluid,
which is about as invasive as you can get without full surgery.
It is definitely an invasive technique, and it comes with its own risks too, especially when we're talking about doing it on babies. Right. So a team led by scientists at the Barcelona Institute for Global Health in Spain used a high frequency ultrasound and what they call deep learning algorithm to check for signs of inflammation. Now, they could do this on babies because you know how babies, the plates in babies' heads aren't completely fused yet.
They're soft.
They're soft. So there are actually gaps in between the plates of their skull. So they could use the ultrasound to scan through those gaps specifically to get to the brain. So that's why this is very much a baby, very young baby type of procedure. So a study at hospitals in Spain, Mozambique, and Morocco showed that this technique has a 94% accuracy rate.
Interesting. Wow.
Tell me something good.
Germaphobes rejoice. A Jamaican university student has invented a self-cleaning door handle. Now, it's funny. I mean, I kind of did the same thing when I read the story. I kind of rolled my eyes like, all right, whatever. But then when you really think about it, I mean, everybody knows that frequently used public surfaces like stair handrails and water fountains are crawling with bacteria, and they contribute greatly to the spread of disease. So that's why, particularly in the winter time, you know, you get that spread because everybody's indoors.
Because our immune systems are shot. If we went back in time 100 years, we wouldn't last 2 days.
No, not at all. Not at all. Things are even worse in tropical climates as the conditions tend to be ideal for germs to proliferate. So inventor Rayvon Stewart, who's actually just a student at the University of Technology, Jamaica, and among the first in his family to go to college even, he wanted to do something about that particular problem. So called Zermasol, the door handle integrates a touch-activated ultraviolet light cleanse cycle that takes about 30 seconds to disinfect the whole door handle, to disinfect itself. So while seeking a patent, Stewart has won Jamaica's Prime Minister's National Youth Award and the Commonwealth Health Innovations Award, and hopes to continue to show that innovation can come from anywhere. So given how people in first world countries had to be reminded to wash their hands, I'm hoping Stewart integrates UV cleansing everywhere for us.
Tell me something good.
Now, I will tell you that I'm one of those that when I'm walking out of the bathroom, if it's a door handle, I will keep the because I wash my hands.
Right. So
I will keep the paper towel. And
yep.
you know why?
Why?
Because everybody who doesn't wash their hands,
they're using the same door
doing
handle.
Their business. They're using the same doorknob and handle.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's so gross. That's why so many of our bathrooms have a little garbage can like right near the door.
Yeah,
for
because
us.
it's people like me, because I'll use the paper towel,
Yep.
open the door with a paper towel, then throw it away.
Pro tip. All right, in our last story here, collaborating with robotics engineers and Italian 3D printer manufacturers, a Japanese company is building homes of Earth made primarily of soil. So utilizing AI technology from design through construction, which is a new thing in and of itself, LibWork Limited completed their first 3D printed earthen home in Yamaga, Kumamoto on July 22nd, calling their creative process, quote, uncharted territory. While the automotive industry has undergone rapid transformation through technological advances, the housing industry has seen virtually no fundamental innovation or in construction methods or materials for like over 50 years. Basically, we're building houses the same forever, right? But they're trying to do something really different here. So with an eye toward environmental concerns, LibWork focused on combining 3D printing with natural materials enhanced for strength, constructability, and design quality. So while their first generation 3D printed homes use concrete, this next generation focused on local naturally derived materials with soil as their primary component. Now, you might be wondering, Gabe, who wants to live in a dirt hut? I mean, really. And you're right. I'm not particularly jazzed about this idea for use in residential home construction here. But this is the type of system that has direct applicability to construction on the moon and Mars.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so bringing your moon-based building materials with you would be costly. But if you can 3D print walls from moon dust, now you're one step closer to making all my sci-fi dreams a bit more feasible.
Tell me something good. Even on the terrestrial side here, I actually think that's kind of cool.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the homes now they look different because it's a completely different method. The walls are very they're not pretty yet. Because this is very much a 1.0 version of the third. But I think there's some value here. There for low cost housing, this may actually be the solution. But here to help you plan to have a good week, Tuesday is National Potato Day. Okay, so now what's the best form of potato for you?
Okay, mashed, like smashed, not the mixy kind that looks like real super smooth. Like with the chunks of potato still in it, mashed potatoes. That's
whiskey.
There you go. Yes, I like that answer.
Vodka. No, but you can't be French fries for me. I mean, French fries or potato chips.
I used to, when I used to eat badly, I used to absolutely love going to the restaurant or the sports bar and getting potato skins.
Oh, potato skins are nice.
Basically covering them in sour cream.
Yes.
I don't do that anymore.
Yes.
But, oh, man, that was delicious.
It's tough to beat. All right, Wednesday is National Radio Day.
Yeah.
So be sure to show us some love over the air on the NewsTalkSTL app, via socials, and with podcast downloads, by the way.
Celebrate National Radio Day online.
Well, you're not wrong. Thursday is National Senior Citizens Day, so respect the old men and the young men's game. Friday is National Be an Angel Day, so it's encouraging you to help your fellow man. I can tell you it does indeed feel good to do good, so definitely do that. And today is National Ice Cream Pie Day.
Oh, okay.
Now I've had ice cream cake. I think most of us have had ice cream cake, but ice cream pie sounds amazing. I don't think I've ever had it before.
I have
an ice cream pie.
It's kind of basically the same thing.
Is it basically the same thing? But you would be in the crust though, as opposed to like sitting on top.
Yes, that's true.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
It's not bad.
Okay,
I'm like, I have nothing negative to say about it. Let's put it that way.
So, what are we doing for Mike on Thursday, National Senior Citizens Day?
Oh, hit it!
Oh man! See, the thing was, I braced in case something was coming from that one over there. I knew it was coming at some point. Jeez.
That's all right. But hey, we're doing pretty good. And I just to reiterate though, the National Be an Angel Day. I think that's good stuff. That's kind of pay it forward type of stuff. And I really like when those kind of come up because as conservatives, we're very much in the kind of do for yourself.
Mhm.
We don't want the government kind of being intrusive. The government is certainly not the best charity out there.
No.
And we very actively put ourselves on the line when it comes to, the causes that are of concern to us. So, we're the ones out there feeding people and, getting people off the street.
That's what the left argues. But if government doesn't do it, you're going to let these people starve. And we basically say, no, the private sector will take care of it.
Yeah.
So are we?
Yeah. And that's the question. And I think, the stats say we are, but I think any encouragement is a good thing for us.
Yep. All right. 314-912-1019. Going to bring you up to date on what's happening, including the disciplinary hearing for the woman who failed the city of St. Louis when that tornado hit. We'll tell you what's going on with that starting right around 8:04.
NewsTalkSTL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalkSTL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Storm damage got you stressed out? Don't worry. Call Mario and his team at Top Quality Exteriors. We're your local St. Louis neighbors. Mario and his team specialize in roofing, siding, and gutters. Whether you need a few shingles replaced or a complete exterior makeover, we bring quality work with real results at an affordable price. Plus, we'll work with your insurance company to get your claim approved and help you get your repairs done quickly. Call for a free estimate today, 314-683-6986. BBB accredited and ready to roll. 314-683-6986.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking to former U.S. Senator Jim Talent, I think we can safely say that Greta Thunberg has officially jumped the shark.
I have to tell you, how you react to this girl is a real tell. And Tim, can you imagine? I mean, I have 2 girls. Imagine if I'd come home and one of them starts lecturing me in this fashion.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4
on News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. European and NATO leaders will be joining Ukrainian President Zelensky during his White House visit today with President Trump.
Zelensky, who was not invited to the Alaska summit with Russia's Vladimir Putin, won't be alone for talks with Donald Trump. Leaders from France, Britain, Germany, Italy, and Finland will also be attending. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says Putin has agreed that the United States and European allies could offer Ukraine a security guarantee, resembling NATO's collective defense mandate, as part of an eventual deal to end the war. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And when you press Secretary of State Rubio for details of the Ukraine talks, you don't get much.
These negotiations, as much as everyone would love it to be a live pay-per-view event, these discussions only work best when they are conducted privately in serious negotiations.
Secretary Rubio tells ABC's This Week program that compromise is key to ending the war. In his words, you can't have a peace agreement unless both sides give and get. Hurricane Erin has strengthened. It's a Category 4 storm, 130-mile-per-hour winds. Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands being lashed by the outer bands of the storm. North Carolina's Outer Banks could feel Erin's fury in just a few days.
Rainfall is a concern, but the tropical storm force winds, the rip current, the heavy surf, that's going to certainly be a concern, as well as storm surge.
Dave Roberts at the National Hurricane Center. Authorities in Tremonton, Utah say 2 police officers were killed. A third was wounded in a shooting last night. It happened as officers responded to a disturbance call in the community north of Salt Lake City. The suspect is under arrest. Police say neighbors convinced him to put down his gun. On Wall Street, the Dow futures 19 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life.
Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Big weather changes coming later this week, but for now we are stuck on hot. The heat advisory continues, 97 for the high, a heat index of 106 this afternoon. Some isolated storms possible, very limited in coverage, but some lightning, some brief downpours, and some gusty winds if you get caught under one. Down to 76 tonight, 1 or 2 storms around. Still steamy Tuesday, 94, a heat index of 103, but scattered rain and storms tomorrow signal that the cooler air is starting to move in. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
Mike Ferguson.
Here we go again. These people are crazy.
Gabe Phifer.
A charitable interpretation for this kind of behavior does not exist.
Get up, St. Louis.
We're a different kind of clown show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, the emergency management and let's use big air quotes here, leader who failed St. Louis gets to defend herself today. And if she's listening, she got mad because I said herself and not herself.
Right, that's right.
Also, another Republican steps into the political ring and hopes to challenge J.B. Pritzker. And the Cardinals forgot how to baseball there for a minute.
Oh, man.
8:05 right now. Let's dump some news on you.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Okay, quick note of good news here. The boil water advisory is over. Now, that was issued for both St. Charles and St. Peter's after a water main was damaged late last week. We told you about that on Friday, and at the time, it was only St. Charles. Well, shortly after the show ended, they actually expanded that to St. Peter's as well, the entire cities. The advisory was issued as a precaution while the water could be tested for safety after that water main was punctured by a contractor. The results showed that the water was safe all along. Hopefully that does not discourage people from listening to those advisories. I get that it was a pain in the backside, but the reality is that when you have something like that happen, it's better safe than sorry. You did not waste your time by bowling the water. Don't worry about it. That's just a precaution, and it was a smart precaution.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically better to have it and not need it than need it, not have it. Right. It's very much the umbrella, situation.
Yeah, exactly. And you can go way too far on precautions.
Sure,
but for something like a physical water structure, that was the right move. on all parts. Okay. I want to talk about this in more depth at 8:20 here. Okay.
Okay.
St. Louis City's emergency management director, Sarah Russell, remains on paid leave, but she faces an actual disciplinary hearing today. Now, that is, of course, related to the failure of her department to sound the warning sirens May 16th when the tornado hit the city, because her entire on-duty department was down the road at some kind of workshop. Now, following today's hearing, the director of public safety will have 14 days to make a decision on what will happen, if anything. Published reports say Russell's salary, at least last year, was $100,000 per year. And the one time the city needed her to make sure the button got pushed, she and her entire team were nowhere to be found. That is the moment you judge whether or not she's competent to be in charge of the city's emergency management agency.
Yeah, the order that would have changed the entire situation would have been, okay, we're gonna draw lots as to see which one of us has to stay back here with the button.
Right.
That would have been it. That would have been the entirety of the situation.
And then we still would not know Sarah Russell's name.
Absolutely.
If that were the case. All right. One of Illinois' top conservative names is planning to run for governor. Wirepoints president Ted Dabrowski says the state needs to reverse course.
For 15 years, I've been working on reporting on Illinois, on its problems, suggesting a lot of solutions. And what I've seen is the state continue to go downhill, sadly. We should be a top 5 state in this country. We should be a top 5 state for growth, for wages, for population, for business. And we're a bottom 5 state. We're a bottom 5 state in virtually everything. So this is a big chance to turn things around. And so, things have gotten worse under Governor Pritzker. Highest property taxes, second highest gas taxes. Our population is shrinking. So we have to turn the state around. I'm a huge believer that this is we can make this a top 5 state, but we have to unify as Republicans. We have to get our ducks in a row and then push the policies that make us compete with Texas, makes us compete with Florida.
That audio is from Capital News, Illinois. We actually spoke with Ted earlier today. Check out our podcast later this morning to hear it and share it with your friends in Illinois. There are a couple of candidates who are declared, and we'll have them all on at some point. But Ted brings with him a pretty good name recognition, at least among conservatives around the state. And Gabe, I was getting the impression from our discussion with him that he says, you know what, as our friends at the Freedom Caucus have said, you can't run super hard to the right.
Yeah.
So Ted's saying, I'm just going to be approaching what he called common sense answers and solutions and policies. But Ted is conservative.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's going to now just be wary. He's going to step away from the conservative label,
right,
just because of all the baggage it carries, especially in Illinois,
yep,
right? In Illinois in particular. But the thing is, when he says, like, what's conservative about not wanting to pay a whole bunch of money? Well, that is conservative.
Yeah.
But everybody doesn't want to pay a bunch of money for their property taxes. So it's appealing to the universality of a lot of conservative messaging, and it just let him go. Don't pick at him for doing that. He's running a campaign, guys.
Yep. All right. California Democrats unveiling their congressional map aimed at flipping 5 Republican-held seats through gerrymandering. And of course, that's responding to Republican redistricting efforts in Texas, which is responding to the gerrymandering in Illinois and California, New York, and places like that. And it's just a death cycle is what's going on.
You gerrymandered before I gerrymandered.
Yeah. How dare you gerrymander in response to my gerrymandering?
Yeah, but my gerrymandering is different than your gerrymandering.
Yeah, but my gerrymandering's okay, unlike your gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering for everybody.
That's right. Good God. Congressman Darrell Issa, Republican from California, was on Fox News Live talking about that this weekend.
Even if you want a Democrat representing you, do you really want to have a one-party state and a one-party country that, tells you what to do? And of course, the answer to the vast majority of the voters is no. So I think they're going to reject this.
Well, the voters may say that, but both the RNC and the DNC, they would say, yes, we want one party control completely,
absolutely,
states and government.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. I'm sure there's a kid out there whose parents listen to talk radio, and they're just wondering, like, who is this gerrymander, and why is everybody so mad at him?
Oh my goodness. All right. So what's happening is California is putting that on a special election in November, which, if it's passed by the voters, would redistrict in order to flip those 5 seats. So Texas is going to redistrict to hand the Republicans 5 more seats, and California wants to redistrict in order to hand Democrats 5 more seats. So it's a complete wash.
Yeah, they're
And
trying to
then-
balance it.
Yeah, and then you've got Missouri, which might add 1 more Republican seat, and so on and so forth.
Now, if all of the red states though did this, we would actually come ahead, but that's a huge escalation.
It's a big one, and you'd have to do it very, very, very fast.
Yes, it'd have to be within the next session, essentially.
Literally the next months. Yeah. All right. 3 Republican-led states are deploying hundreds of members of their National Guard and sending them to Washington, D.C.
Governors in West Virginia, Ohio, and South Carolina announced they're sending troops from their states to assist the Trump administration's takeover of the District of Columbia's police department. As many as 750 additional National Guard members will join their counterparts in Washington. Last week, President Trump activated the D.C. National Guard to aid local law enforcement in what the White House calls an effort to crack down on crime and homelessness in the nation's capital. Greg Clugston, Washington.
All right. And of course, there's dueling lawsuits and all sorts of stuff. The left is trying to keep basically reinforcements from cracking down on crime.
Yeah.
In D.C.
Really?
It's just so
it's wild.
Oh my God. All right. A Russia-Ukraine ceasefire was not reached during the summit in Alaska over the weekend that started on Friday. President Trump attended that on Friday. Russian President Vladimir Putin was there as well. However, President Trump still says the meeting was productive, his word. Republican Senator Eric Schmidt was on Fox News Sunday and was asked about that.
President Trump is engaging Russia. He's bringing the two parties together to get to peace. That has always been his North Star. And I have full confidence that President Trump is going to do everything he can to facilitate that.
Okay, so after meeting with President Putin, Trump is going to be meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky later on today, really pretty much any time now in the White House. All right. I guess I have to.
Yeah, I think you have to.
All right. All right. The Cardinals. You know that I know I try to end a lot of these newscasts on good news.
Yeah.
The Cardinals. Okay. Cardinals were tied with the Yankees going into the 9th inning on Sunday. And then, the Redbirds gave up 4 runs in the last inning to lose the game. Final score 8-4. Yankees end up sweeping the series, which pushes the Redbirds to 18 games out of first place.
Oh, geez.
18.
I think it's out of reach now.
Yeah. I don't think we're winning the crown this year.
No. Sorry,
Man.
guys.
Cardinals are on the road today, starting a series with the Marlins. First pitch is going to happen at 5:40.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul sewn up, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Before you blow us all away.
Jamie Ullman here with the great Eric Swanson of Newstedter's Fine Jewelers, Dorothy Ferry, and Big Ben. Tell me about Wow Diamonds.
Wow Diamonds. We call them that because when people come in and look at the diamonds, everyone says, wow. We feature those in natural diamonds, the mine diamonds. They're perfectly cut, polished, and proportioned. Not all diamonds come out of the cutting process the same, and ours are perfect. That's why they're called Wow Diamonds.
Newstedter's Fine Jewelers right there at Dorothy Ferry and Big Bend, wowdiamonds.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
For 93 years, R&R Ace Hardware in St. Clair has been your family-owned destination. We're more than hardware. Find Carhartt clothing, gifts, toys, fishing gear, and fabric all under one roof. 4 generations of small-town service with big store selection. R&R Ace Hardware in St. Clair. Worth the drive.
R&R Ace Hardware in Sullivan isn't your typical hardware store. It's a destination. Find Carhartt clothing, home decor, toys, fishing gear, and fabric all in one place. Proudly woman-owned with unique finds you won't get in the city. R&R Ace Hardware Sullivan. Worth the drive.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. She's been on a 3-month paid vacation, basically. And today, Sarah Russell gets to defend herself after her massive failure. Okay, so I'm going to get into some of the nooks and crannies of what's going on, because Sarah Russell is the basically the director of the emergency management agency for the city of St. Louis.
Right.
She's the one whose job it is to make sure in those rare moments of emergency. And remember, the emergency management agency is, by definition, they are supposed to take the lead and warn or protect people when there's something unusual and when that emergency. So only extreme cases.
Right.
So once or twice a year,
max,
they're
basically
called on, to put their training and put their equipment and put everything into place. And in May, we had the tornado hit, and she and her team were nowhere to be found because of decisions she made. She chose to have her team at some workshop down the street when there was a tornado in the forecast.
Really?
Literally. And then the warning was issued by the weather folks. And she was still, and her team were nowhere near the physical button to sound the sirens. Now, you would think in 2025 that you would have some kind of encrypted, secured app that you could alert it from anywhere.
Sure.
That's an issue they do need to fix. But when there's a button, make sure somebody's there to push the button.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, that's kind of the point of being the manager, right? You make those decisions and are therefore responsible when things go wrong. So we're at the responsibility part right now, because it was an easy decision that could have been made. It's like, yeah, we've got this thing going on, but we always have to have somebody. Like, I don't know why that wasn't just in her mind. We always have to have somebody by the button, especially when the weather forecast is calling for some severe weather.
And here's the thing: is it's oftentimes used as a trope. You have one job.
Yeah,
you had one job.
Literally.
Right. Literally have one job. So here's what's going on: is the actual disciplinary hearing is today. Technically, she is still the emergency management director.
Right.
Now, she's been scrubbed from the city's website because not first and foremost, just because she didn't do the job. Hopefully that means they're going to fire her. But secondly, there was an immediate amount of backlash because it became clear this was probably an ideological hire. And I got to look back to see when she was made director. I don't know if that was during the Tashara Jones administration or if that was before, but she was a director under the Tashara Jones administration. And basically her entire career was based on ideology and DEI and LGBT and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was like they, them pronouns, and all this nonsense.
What are your accomplishments in your job? It's like, oh, I did the DEI thing.
Yeah, she gave presentations, so
I did a diversity thing.
Right. And that was the thing. Now, there are a lot of rumors that was the workshop subject matter. We don't know that for sure. I cannot find a confirmation from a source that makes it to the point where I would say that's exactly what they were doing instead of watching the tornado.
But as a consumer of news and a watcher of society, it's hard not to, like, they're not even telling us about it.
I'm going to go
and they, them was running it.
They, them was. And so I'm going to even argue that even if this workshop had to do with identifying weather patterns or communication with even if it were something completely legitimate, we don't have, I to your point, if it were completely legitimate, that would have been in the news and that would have been in the press release. So read into that what you will. But let's take the best case scenario. They were at a workshop about communicating with fire and police and National Guard or whatever the case is. They still needed somebody in the building because there was a tornado warning declared. Now, remember, the tornado hit North City primarily. I mean, it hit parts of the county and stuff like that. It hit my street, but it primarily hit St. Louis, North City, the most economically disadvantaged part of the city, the place where people are least likely to own cell phones. Because a lot of people everybody has an alarm on your phone. You shouldn't rely on the sirens. We are never going to have a time where we don't rely on a physical siren in the city. Okay. So the failure meant that there were people who were not warned that a tornado was coming or on the ground. Now, would that have changed any of the outcome? I don't know. That's the point.
Yeah, we were trying to warn about the storm in the way before it happened.
Oh,
we
yeah,
had
yeah.
that much of
Yeah.
a warning about it. And yes, there are people that they only have what are called the T9 phones. They don't have the smart apps and stuff like that. It's just the little buttons, the old school phones. And even then, if they were at this conference, them should have been at the button.
Yes.
It's really that simple. I mean,
yes,
I don't understand.
And so what's happening right now is she's still getting paid her full salary, which Channel 4 did a story on this. That's pretty comprehensive. David Amilati did the story. And she is still getting paid every 2 weeks. She's getting $2,990 in salary as of last year, which was apparently the last year the full records are available to the public.
Right.
Her salary was $100,000 a year.
Right.
And
as chief diversity officer,
as right,
basically.
And so what you have here is a situation where this is showing the danger of putting people into position, at least in part because of ideology, and all of the circumstantial evidence shows that she was in that role, at least in part because of ideology, because of representation, because of diversity. Will Tashara Jones ever cop to that? Probably not. But understand how powerful the LGBT community is to city politics. And they want representation, but it's also important to notice that you don't hear any LGBT activists in the city standing up saying, you can't punish or hold accountable Sarah Russell. They were hurt by this too, and they are very smartly going, yeah, we're sitting this one out.
Yeah,
no.
Which is telling.
Which tells you something.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to, or at least she's not going to, her position is not going to survive this latest round. I think she's gone. I think
needs to be.
I think that's going to be the outcome. They're just trying to manage it to make sure they don't make anybody angry. But one thing that occurred to me is they were in this conference and they were down the street when all of us got the tornadoes sirens on our phones.
Yeah,
they probably did too. They probably sheltered in place when they were supposed to be warning others to shelter in place.
Yeah, because when the tornado's hitting, do you run out the door and run down the street or a couple blocks or drive somewhere? They should have.
Yeah. I mean, in that case, it's like, oh, one of us has got to go.
Or
draw the short straw.
Here's the thing. None of us even know about all of this nonsense. And she gets to do her they-them representation and keep her $100,000 job. If even she had gone to the firehouse, which was right there, and said, hey, we've got this thing. Can somebody wait here? I'll text you or call you in case we get something. But none of that was done. It is incompetence. And that has nothing to do with her sexual preferences or choices. It has everything to do with the ability to do the job. And she failed because you're tested on it once or twice a year. And she failed. And the fact that there was a warning that we knew 2 days earlier this could happen shows that this is somebody who shouldn't be anywhere near a job with the responsibility of warning people to protect their lives.
And I'm willing to at least say that this was somebody appointed under the Tashara Jones administration, that maybe, current Mayor Kara Spencer was not totally privy to the lack of any sort of, any sort of ability for this person to push a button. But then you look at the fact that Sarah is still being paid for not doing her job, and that just doesn't sit right
for
with
3
me.
months.
For 3 months.
3 months.
Now, don't we have sound of her defending herself, of Sarah saying that nobody listened to me, or is it just
she
quotes?
was quoted.
It's just
She was
quoted,
quoted
saying,
in the in
you're
Channel
right,
4's article.
You're right.
So she's gone on social media basically saying, well, nobody was listening to me. What I say doesn't matter. She was actually trying to play victim.
Oh, yeah.
On this. And
Honestly.
she goes, this administration isn't listening
Yeah.
to this. I mean, this is what she's saying. Listen, Kara Spencer is definitely ideologically far to the left.
Oh, gosh, yes.
But Kara Spencer has been spending the first months of her administration trying to clean up the basic messes left by the Tashara Jones administration on things like fixing the streets, making sure they can clear the ice, and in this case, making sure that somebody's able to sound the alarm. And so Kara Spencer hasn't even had time to get into the ideological nonsense that I'm sure we're going to see at some point. But she has been focused on actual city government stuff,
which is very much a plus, and shows that she was actually, I mean, among the choices that the city had, I think she was a decent one at least.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot to be unpacked here, with this sort of situation with somebody, a DEI appointee in a very important position. You can't have this.
It's just more evidence. And this isn't because we're conservative and our audience is a church going conservative, whatever. It's not about that.
No,
it's about when you hire people and you make public policy decisions for activist reasons instead of actual good functional government reasons, people get hurt.
Right. I mean, look, if the DEI criteria was blue eyes, and it's like, you know what, there's a lack of blue eye representation in government things, and they made a point of appointing Sarah because she has blue eyes. I don't even know if she does, but they made a point of appointing her because she has blue eyes. We're still going to say that is not the criteria to hire people.
Excuse me, I have blue eyes and I'm offended by that. You're talking about my people.
Your people.
Representation matters, Gabe.
Yeah, the thing I want represented is competence. Yeah. That's what. Hey, maybe that should be the next DEI focus. Is like, you know what, the competence community is underrepresented in government.
Because if you're going to hire people for activist reasons, they should be active people.
There you go.
This is not. If the whole point of this was to say, look, these they, thems, whatever creatures are just as good as everybody else, well, you really dropped the ball at a very critical moment. It's not making you look very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this was just a complete failure. And it's what happens when you let ideology supersede basic public safety.
Right.
There aren't that many things that government should be doing. I would argue you could make a case for the warning sirens for a tornado to be one of them.
Yeah, seriously. But another cause that I think that should be beyond politics but isn't for some reason is life. And but life has gotten a win recently. Costco says it's dropping sales of the abortion pill at their pharmacies. Did conservative pushback make that happen? We're gonna be talking about it at 8:35.
Yeah, this hit the news over the weekend. This is really kind of exciting stuff because what's exciting is the question, what's next?
Absolutely.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself unless you suck.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Big weather changes coming later this week, but for now we are stuck on hot. The heat advisory continues, 97 for the high, a heat index of 106 this afternoon. Some isolated storms possible, very limited in coverage, but some lightning, some brief downpours, and some gusty winds if you get caught under one. Down to 76 tonight, 1 or 2 storms around. Still steamy Tuesday, 94, a heat index of 103, but scattered rain and storms tomorrow signal that the cooler air is starting to move in. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chain.
Fox News commentary.
President Trump is stepping in to stop the killing, and the typical TDS naysayers want him to fail. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
You think your 401k is safe, growing, reliable. But here's the truth. The 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift risk onto you, leaving your retirement exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, and chaos. Noble Gold helps Americans roll over part of their 401k into real physical gold. Tax advantage, penalty-free, and shockproof. Get your free wealth protection kit now at noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Before the bilateral meeting with Putin began, the naysayers and leftist media and the usual Trump-deranged keyboard warriors were poo-pooing the effort. And after, the peanut gallery has grown louder, more negative, and more deranged. Some are whining that President Trump dared to smile. Others are furious at the base-level respect he showed to another world leader. The worst of the bunch are even hearkening back to their old favorite tired and debunked narrative that Trump is a Russian asset. These same people have been crying about the killing in Ukraine since the war started under Sleepy Joe. Many still have Ukraine flags in their social media bios. You'd think they'd put aside their Trump hatred to applaud the effort towards peace. Even if President Trump brokered an end to the conflict, they'd still be upset because they hate Trump more than they want peace. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Taste the difference that fresh local makes. Anthony's Produce supports our local farmers by bringing you the finest locally grown produce in town. From the juiciest peaches and melons to the sweetest corn and ripest tomatoes, we've got it all. Plus, discover our amazing selection of locally made jams, salsas, pickles, and fresh sourdough breads. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6:30, and Sundays, 8 to 5. 701 Jungerman Road in St. Peters, or visit anthonysproduce.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Let me start off by just framing it this way. Life gets a win. We don't get enough of those in the United States. That's exciting, but then the question comes down to what's next? That's where I think we need to be looking at what's happening right now. We are joined by Donna Jackson from our friends at the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, better known as CFAT. And so, Donna, the big win is that a major, wholesale outlet, not retail outlet, Costco, decided to stop selling the abortion pill in their pharmacy chains. And that affects a lot of people. So then the question, like I said, I'm going to get to is what's next? But what do we know about the decision that Costco made and announced late last week that they are going to stop selling the abortion pill?
You know, this is a big victory. They were one of the companies that really leaned into a lot of the demands of the left, especially when it came to DEI and ESG. It all came from them being stronghold into supporting the abortion pill, distribution of the abortion pill. And I really think it was to try to supersede what the states wanted to do in terms of banning abortions. You know, 1 in 10 women who take the abortion pill suffer complications. 6% actually have to have surgery. And the fact that, you know, it's ironic that the crowd that's crying, Sydney Sweeney is projecting eugenics, embrace eugenics in abortion with the abortion pill and with surgical abortions. So I think this was a big victory, actually, for our side in respecting life, because we know that abortion is not health care.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and so is this a matter of liability and worried about, repercussions of that? Or do you think that there was some feeling the pressure from the pro-life community or pro-life policymakers?
Actually, I think it was the pro-life community, and it was the pressure from the pro-life community, but I think that they recognized the shift in the American people. The voices that were the loudest when the Biden administration was in effect was those from the left saying that everybody had to embrace DEI, climate change policies, and abortion. And I think that they realized after this election that none of that is what the majority of Americans wanted. For sure, we see that people respect life. As an African American, I have to point out that a third of the African American population has been aborted. A third. That's a huge. That when the people that are crying systematic racism and white supremacy, but they embrace abortion, that is far worse, than anything that they claim, is detrimental to people of color, because abortionists have always targeted minorities. But I think that it was more, they see that all of a sudden there's a coalition of not just white Americans, working class Americans, but a vast number of minorities have shifted to the conservative movement. What does that mean? And this is something that, I've pointed out in the past. African Americans, they want their kids, but you have elite white liberal, especially women, who've been forcing this abortion agenda on African Americans and African American communities.
We're visiting
I think that they've seen that shift.
All right, we're visiting with Donna Jackson from our friends at CFAT. Okay, so what's the takeaway from this decision by Costco? Because obviously, I think you're 100% right. This is a big victory for life itself, because Costco is so huge and has such a huge presence. So what do we take from this in order to expand that victory? What's next, Donna?
I think that we have to put the pressure on all of these companies that embrace like DEI, that embrace climate change policies. All of the one common issue that all of these agendas have is that they hate families. They want to depopulate the earth, and everything that they do is to actually destroy the family unit. And they've been transparent in that. The abortion is about making sure that families are not created, making sure that they destroy children, the drag queen shows, all of that, sexualizing kids, it's all to destroy the family. I think the biggest takeaway is that Americans actually realize the core values that we embrace starts with the family unit. It starts with the heterosexual family unit, because that's how the values are passed down. That's how this country was started. That's how it's strong. And I think that we need to continue the pressure, because more people think like we do than not. And those loud voices that you hear, that you think all of a sudden everybody wants transgenderism and surgery for kids, is the minority, it's the fringe. But in the past 4 or 5 years, we thought it was the majority. It is not. And so we need to keep up the pressure on all of these companies to back away from these types of political issues that doesn't have anything to do with their business model.
Okay, so then what's the how part of this, as to how do we enact this impact on other, whether it's retailers or public policy areas? Let's talk about the private sector, because that's what we're talking about with Costco. Who are the other, maybe some of the other companies that need to hear from us if they're still selling the abortion pill or buying into these ideology-based decisions or pushing this agenda?
I think, you need to look at the financial institutions who are financing a lot of these companies. They look at the governance, shareholder, the shareholder policies that they put out, see how many are embracing it. It's far too many companies that have added this as part of their business model that shouldn't have anything to do with what the company is about. And it's amazing to me that, and as a person that's spent a lot of time in private sector, in the business world, that these issues would have normally been something that they would have relegated to their foundation. But instead, they've added that to their business model, which actually doesn't enhance what the experience of the customer. So they should have never been in the business of embracing a political issue, which abortion has become. And we need to look at, pay attention to the earnings call, pay attention to those code words they use that are actually about embracing these kind of ideologies. You have this stuff being pushed in cartoons. You have it being pushed like family owned and family, normally companies that are geared towards families are pushing this kind of rhetoric, and we need to stop it. So I think that, people should pay attention to what they're putting out in their earnings calls, pay attention to who's financing them, if they're embracing these kinds of policies or not.
Yeah, and that's really hard to do. I mean, I know that your colleague at the National Center, Scott Shepard, does a lot of that, but is there a source people can go to say, and I do business with God knows how many companies every year just for my family's stuff or my business's stuff. How do you get that information to make those decisions or make your voice heard otherwise?
There's a lot of the attorney generals, especially from red states, are putting out this kind of information. So you can find some of that on their website. I know that National Center has a proxy navigator that will list all of the companies and all of the companies that are adopting these kinds of initiatives that anybody can go to. There's a lot of public policy groups out there that are publishing op-eds and publishing information to make it available to the public. I know that when you do a Google search, it's not the first thing that comes up, but I think that putting in the right words, making sure you put in the right words, will bring up the information so we shouldn't have a family-oriented company, because when you think about Costco, when you go through the store, that's all you see is families in there. Like it's a weekend trip. That's how they spend their time together, getting samples. The last thing I would think is a company like that would then be pushing to destroy the family unit. And so I think that it just takes a little bit more time, but it's not complicated, and especially with AI now, where you can find out very quickly. You can do a quick search and find out any company that you like or shop at. You can do a quick search and see what they support.
All right.
They should never. I'm sorry.
No,
they
go
should
ahead.
never be adopting in their business model that their primary concern is climate change or abortion pills.
All right. And of course, people want to follow the work that you and your colleagues do. What's the way to be in touch on the web or social media, anything like that?
You can reach us at CFAT.org. Again, that's CFAT.org. And you reach out to your Congress people, but we shouldn't support this kind of things. And I think that right now, this administration is really putting pressure on defunding Planned Parenthood and a lot of these other radical organizations.
All right. Donna Jackson from CFAT, the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. Always good chat with you, Donna. Been a while since we've chatted. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right. 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on that? Let me hear them. Or you can tweet at me or send me a note on social media. I'm watching the Rumble chat box in particular. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's Kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Ken and I have a very special Whoosh-related request for our friend Rob Bluey. Whoosh. So we'll hit him up with that Monday morning at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
One of the overall themes I think Donna was hitting on just a few minutes ago was, is there a sort of shift, not even so much on the political stuff, but on the understanding of the cultural issues on this? I mean, there are people who are in the middle, even on the center left, who are starting to say, yeah, I kind of see what you're talking about. But we too often default to partisan positions on it instead of saying, no, this is literally life and death. And so I wonder if there's not some of that eventually starting to connect.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the unfortunate part, though, is that those moderates that are starting to realize like these are unborn lives that deserve a chance at life are often outnumbered by the people that look at abortion as just another form of contraceptive. And that makes it very difficult to have honest and good faith conversations.
Yeah. So when you get a decision by Costco to say, you know what, we're not going to stock this. You know, this isn't one of the things that pharmacies, have to have on hand for life-saving stuff. I mean, pharmacies need things like blood pressure medicine and heart medicine and all kinds of stuff, antibiotics and all this kind of stuff. And they've just decided it really wasn't worth it to keep selling the abortion pill, as has been pointed out by medical doctors on this show, and then obviously the advocates on the show. They're saying literally almost 1 in 20 women who take one of these suffers a serious medical thing. There's no other medicine out there that would be allowed to be on the market in the way that this is with that kind of damage rate. It just wouldn't exist. To shows you that the politicians and to some degree the businesses would rather focus on the ideology than on protecting the lives of women in this country.
And the sad part as well is that as long as it remains profitable for big pharma companies to literally aid in the death of unborn babies, and then can give some of that profit to these politicians, nothing's really going to change.
Nothing's going to change. All right, it is 8 coming up on 8:51 right now. We got was it Bob, right?
Yep, conservative Catholic Bob.
Conservative Catholic Bob. You're on the air, Bob. What do you think?
I'd like to connect two things, abortion and St. Charles County. I'm vehemently opposed to abortion, but most of the people I know who've moved to St. Louis County are old, or they're postmenopausal, or they're pro-abortion. You can have 600 people move into a neighborhood in St. Charles and you suddenly need a new school. But if there's only one child in the family, you're going to have no growth in the future. In the next 25 years, you're going to see a massive drop-off of old people dying off, and the remaining is young women of childbearing age being pro-abortion. The number of women of childbearing age is declining. So I think in the next 25 years, you're going to see St. Charles concerned about collapsing population, not increasing, because there's very few people left to flee from St. Louis City and St. Louis County into St. Charles. I spent a lot of time in St. Charles as a child, and all through my life, I'm 80 years old, but I actually still live in St. Louis County. I have a lot of relatives and friends there. But the reality is you're living at the peak of this boom of people fleeing crime into St. Charles County. But you're going to see schools being closed, just like in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. You're going to see schools being closed in the next 25 years in St. Charles County, because the women of childbearing age, they're screaming, we want free abortions. We want abortion pills to be over the counter like lipstick and toothpaste. We don't want a doctor or a pharmacist telling us what to do. We want to kill our babies faster. And 91% of all the kids are in public schools, and the public schools are brainwashing our children to pro-abortion, sexual promiscuity, homosexuality, and transgender. All these things are destroying children. So you're going to have a lot of empty houses, just like you know, with old people in St. Charles County very soon, just like you have in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, because they're murdering their children, the young women in St. Charles County.
All right. Hey, Bob, thanks for being on the program. They're connecting two or three things we talked about today, because we were talking about the growth issue in St. Charles County, because they don't want to allow more affordable family starter sort of homes in there. And if all you're going to have are the big houses and big lots that you can't afford to start off with, well, who are you going to have if what Bob is predicting happens? Well, then the people who could afford the smaller homes, generally young families, they're going to be priced out of your county.
Yeah, I mean, and to touch on what he was talking about when it goes into like the public school indoctrination. So,
which is 100% accurate.
Yeah, when I was in school learning about sexual education, reproductive health education now, I guess is what they call it. But yes, we were taught about ways of getting contraceptives and stuff like that. But some of the people that I was tutoring as I was finishing college that were in the younger years, their model is talking in no uncertain terms about how, well, it's not necessarily a bad thing to get a Plan B pill or to get abortion, to pursue that, and it really is framed more as a, hey, go be promiscuous behind your parents' back. But there are ways, if you don't want to get in trouble with the parents, that you can go and get this taken care of under the rug. And I just don't think that there are parents that are going to be very, very much maybe not respond in a productive, healthy way to the information. But overall, cutting the parents out of decisions, or even being a source of moral, like a rock of moral, support for children going through that, is not going to help anybody.
It's not the role of the government,
to
do that. And that's what public schools are. They are government entities. K through 12 public education is government, not a part of government, not a branch of government. It is government.
Yes.
And we talked earlier with Congressman Bob Onder. And what happened is, one of the local advocates, for families, Shannon put out a picture that she had gotten from one of the Parkway schools. Exactly what Bob described is correct. Congressman Anders described, and it's basically the kids walk in the first day of school, and there is a bulletin board that is nothing but the LGBT flags, and it just said basically LGBT. It was a big promotion of it. To Bob's point, and what he's articulating, and he's saying something I think a lot of people are afraid to say, is that the overall big picture of this is destabilize and destroy traditional families. Donna Jackson from CFAT said something very similar, that part of the overall agenda is destabilizing and decreasing the number of healthy, intact, heterosexual families, which up until 10 years ago, 15 years ago, was considered uncontroversially the foundation building block of the future of any community. And now that's being in some degrees in deep blue areas demonized almost.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't quite fully understand with the DNC's platform. And I'm sure,
Yeah.
if you go deep enough into Marxist ideology, it's plain as day. But the
It's
idea,
depopulation.
yeah, antinatalism, the idea that having kids is not only bad for you, but it is bad for society. And we see a lot of this in the quote unquote environmentalist groups where we need to have less people to protect the environment. It's like, well, maybe we could be a little more responsible. I know people my age are definitely in the mindset of it's expensive to have kids. Maybe we're not qualified. We don't know what we're doing yet.
It is expensive to have kids, and nobody is qualified until their kids come in. Yes,
exactly.
Those things are true. Don't let it stop you.
But aborting your unborn child is not the answer. Going to groups and finding places like Reach, for example, those kinds of groups are available. Church groups are available. There are parenting classes. There are all sorts of people out there that their whole mission in life is let's help people that don't feel confident being a parent become a confident parent.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I love it when I hear people say, well, we're not going to have any kids until we're ready. And I'm like, oh, nobody's ready. I don't care how many books you read. I don't care how much research you do until you have a kid. It is learning on the job. That's the natural process of things. Nobody's ready to have kids when they have kids. Nobody is ready. That's part of the growth process. That's why they say having kids changes you so much, because you're learning and changing along with that new stage of life. Don't let that scare you. Yes, I have a lot of gray hairs that I didn't have before my kids were born, but you know what? That's just part of the way it goes.
NewsTalk STL, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young